And welcome to Breakfast Extra. Today we continue our monitoring of the polls from Rivers State local government election. The ballots have been cast, the collation is ongoing, and yet the results, the mood, the temperature of the people are already here. And what are Rivers people saying? It's not about the noise anymore. It's not about the rallies, the slogans, or what or who promised the most. The message is very simple. Give us good governance. We just want to breathe, like free us. Roads that won't eat up the cars, taps that deliver more than air, light. For heaven's sake, light, just to charge phone, and you know why. But that's it. People want government that works, not government that perform on stage. It's not terror culture. But here's where it gets troubling. For all the big talk about grassroots politics, the ground is shaking. It's like sinking sand. Voters turnout yesterday, really low, depressingly low. Apathy is higher than Nigerians' currency. Probably we're going to make it a new currency. Many young men choose to spend election day, like we saw yesterday, sport betting, glued to their phones in their mind. Make money, Nigeria don't care about me. But just, going about their business. Voting, they did not see that it's worth their time. And that right there is the sample of the decay that we're talking about. Grassroots democracy can't grow on soil where citizens don't believe planting their votes will yield anything. It's not just laziness anymore or indifference. It's exhaustion. They are tired is tired. Nigerians and Rivers people especially, they're exhausted. They had watched cycles of promises come and go, only to find their lives unchanged. So why bother queuing in the sun for another round of waiting concern them, deja vu? This is where Nigeria has managed to win in the worst way possible. It has successfully deflated its electorate. And yet, there's an irony here. Lowered expectations create a strange opportunity. When people stop expecting magic, they start valuing competence. Imagine the kind of respect a chairman or a councillor could command by simply fixing drainage and keeping markets clean or making schools functional. Isn't that why we elected them in the first place? It's supposed to be their job, right? Just the basics. But if they deliver that, suddenly governance becomes visible again. And as Rivers State awaits its official results, the real hope is not about who gets declared the winner. The real hope is for reprieve, a breather from political chaos. A moment where governance looks less like a tug of war and more like service. Because right now, beyond the numbers and the noise, it's the original citizen who's desperate to win. And they're not asking for much. The government is not betting Nigeria. It's not sport betting. It's just for the citizen to breathe. And with that, good morning again, and welcome to Breakfast Extra. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm here with my co-host, Mazino Appeal. Good morning, Mazino.
Good morning, Stella. Fantastic. Nice one. As we await the results, I'm also looking to see exactly how the turnout was yesterday, statistically, whether it's anything to be encouraged by.
Yes. Are you ready for this morning?
Absolutely. Come over. Let's get started, shall we?
Let's dive into it.
Well, guess who made her way over? Queen is in here with us. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Extra yet again for a Sunday edition. And let's let you guys know quickly through, let's take you through what we have prepared for you today. As you have already heard, in Rivers State, attention is still on yesterday's local government elections. Collation is ongoing and we'll be watching for early results and giving you signs, scenes, and stats. And meanwhile, the federal government is promising an end to the fuel queues in Lagos hang on a second. Oh, no, that's on another story, another level. But on security, the Army has launched fresh deployments to Plateau State. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at the statistics for the Rivers local government elections with our very interesting observers who were out yesterday with our correspondents. Also, inside of Wellness Extra today, we will be talking about, well, contraceptives and fertility. We have a very special doctor who will be giving us details about that. So if you stick around, we'll touch on that issue where the visa restrictions or restrictions, I beg your pardon, are actually taking effect on some sectors of the economy, which might not be best for Nigeria. We'll have all that discussion in here today for Breakfast Extra for a Sunday edition. You're welcome once again, and welcome, Queen. That was fantastic there.
Thank you, Mazin.
What are your expectations for the results here today?
I think I'm just concerned. I just have this feeling that with all that exercise and the side sport betting, they will now void it.
No, don't worry. I don't think Rivers State can actually afford to void an election at this point in time.
I agree.
I agree, like you said, it's no longer about the squabbles, the chaos, or whatever has happened from before. I think Rivers people are just absolutely frustrated and tired. They want governance in places. The vacuum has lasted for too long, and nobody really cares about where it comes from again. For the few that came out to vote yesterday, I think what they're saying is this: we just want to be governed.
Right.
We just want schools. We just want,
governed right.
To be exactly right and right.
Right.
To be governed right or to be governed right.
Right.
Nice one.
Thank you.
So that's what I think, and I doubt that. Well, first off, let me congratulate the fact that there was very little record of any instances that might, violence and all the rest. That also shows that the people just want this to get over and done with.
Yes.
Let's see the next chapter.
They're exhausted.
And plenty of talk about Fubara's involvement, but I think let's leave the drama for now. Let's focus on governance. So we're looking forward to see. I think we might be doing the dailies, maybe not immediately, but we will be touching on the dailies. But we're also expecting our correspondents from across River States to be sending us in detail about as we are waiting for the results. So if you stick around, you get to hear that here, perhaps maybe firsthand inside of this segment, or rather inside of a Breakfast Extra, or maybe subsequent shows here on News Central. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll go and see what's happening inside of River State.
Welcome back. And now we're going to move directly to our dailies and, giving you the headlines from the newspapers. So
okay.
I will be starting with...
I thought you wanted me to start, but it's okay.
Mazino, you start.
I will go ahead. Thank you very much. I know they say ladies first, but I just wanted to get off on a few of these topics here.
So you start.
All right, grand, exactly. So for the Sunday Punch newspaper, you've got these headings. Fubara loyalists shun LG polls as governor eyes comeback. Told you there was some talk about Fubara.
Yes.
APC dominates election. Ibas Lord's peaceful conduct, as do we. Wike backs end to emergency rule. Oh, does he now? There's more at the top for the Sunday Punch. ADC INEC clash over party's leadership change, and fresh minimum wage demand splits labor leaders. Also, to the side, Wike can't stop PDP convention, Southwest chairman says, which is very funny because he is a PDP member, so you wonder why anybody would think that you want to scuttle your own party. But then it seems, there are many arguments to be made there. FG bars consultants, core members from federal payroll. Interesting. We're tired of FG's inaction, says ASU, but I hear they might have come to some sort of agreement. I think the Minister of Education has acceded to some of the demands of the LASU members. Tears as family buries breadwinner killed by Lagos cops. Unfortunate. And Enugu government behind my husband's trial, wife of imprisoned lawmaker elect. So those are the pages, or rather the headlines for the Punch newspaper. We're moving on now next to what paper? The Nation, yes?
Okay, so in The Nation, it says, Wike said, Rivers local government pool clears coast for Fubara's return. Suspended governor absence on election day raises concerns. Of course, because everybody was asking where Fubara was.
Where is Waldo?
Massive voters turnout in rural communities. APC wins in first declared result.
Okay, now this is very interesting. The turnout in rural communities goes to show exactly how Well, this is me doing my own rudimentary kind of analysis here when it comes to turnout, because I'm very interested in the numbers for turnout. If the grassroots are turning out, then it must be that they are absolutely engaged this time.
Right.
And I'm wondering exactly what happened there, because it's normally always...
I think maybe because, again, the state of emergency for the president to, you know, come...
Thank you.
Come and say, you know what, you guys are not governing properly. I'm just going to take charge for a few months and putting somebody else. So in their mind, because they keep calling retired Ibas a stranger. A
stranger. So I think they want that change.
Yeah, they're like, you know what, we're going to get this back.
Exactly.
This
so this is ours now.
This is ours. Yeah. So.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. I'm sure we'll have more numbers coming.
I think by the time I keep doing this program, you just see me contesting for something at this point. Politics.
You'd have to let go of this job then. What else do we have on that front page?
So right above it says 2027 PDP eyes consensus option at National Convention. Party open to FCT ministers reintegration on page 4. And besides that, on page 2, it says 13,595 families searching for 23,659 missing persons
in Nigeria. That is a large number.
That's alarming.
And that's only the ones that are on record.
Yes. And if you move down to the newspaper, it says Tinubu FX reforms position Nigeria as export engine, budget office DG, page 7. Northeast governors meet and seek solution to insecurity on page 36. And down it says police detain couple for staging fake kidnap.
It's the country. It's so hard. It's difficult. Everybody's trying to think of ways to make money. So let's just kidnap ourselves.
It's a stage. We're on one right now. Performance.
Let's move on now to the Tribune newspaper for Sunday here. Sunday Tribune has these headlines here. 2027 presidential election, PDP candidate will serve only one term, says the National Vice Chair. Interesting. Says we'll fight anyone who wishes to flout arrangements, as power must go to North in 2031. This is what I call the classic coaxing. Polity, can zoning presidency to South fix PDP problems? Well. 13 Zamfara residents fleeing gunmen attack drown, 22 others missing, sad. Decaying corpse of bandits victims fueling cholera outbreak in Zamfara, say official. Oh, that's the cause. Oh, that's very sad. The breakout in Zamfara is actually pretty bad. I think currently there's the numbers of people who have died are in the tens, and then those who are still infected might be up to the hundreds, if I'm not mistaken, from last week's news. Still more inside of the front page for the Tribune. Police arrest driver with bundles of fake 1,000 naira notes in Ibadan.
God.
Ibadan.
God.
MMM is not enough.
I want to believe that maybe his weddings is trying to sell fake memes to people.
I didn't think about that, but that might be, yeah, that might be true. ADC, violence, shooting rock meeting hosted by El Rufai in Kaduna. Shootings, oh my. And 2008, or rather 284,400 people missing all over the world, and 94,000 disappeared in 2024, says the Red Cross. This is in line with that little piece that you also told. And fear of floods grips Northeast as governors warn of looming disaster, seek urgent action, claim a high cost of agriculture inputs may fuel food crisis. The floods this year are, well, they are bad, and of course comes with the season. They are alarming. One that directly affected me was the one that destroyed the Mokwa Bridge, because only just a couple of weeks from before I was planning to use that route, and up until date I haven't been able to replan my tour. So yeah, I'm wondering exactly what's being done about the floods. But it's a bit too late if this is when you're deciding to do something. All you can do now is just warn. Because
they had mentioned that the president graciously signed up to build.
Yeah, that's the Mokwa Bridge, actually. Yeah. Well, we thank him, graciously or not. It's his job. He serves the people, so we're glad that he's at least up to it. What other dailies do we have for today?
So we have the Sunday Times, and it says exclusive: why I bought arms for my constituents to confront bandits. Casino lawmaker, so he took the law into his hands.
Is that legal? Is that? I mean, these arms. I'm wondering what they are, because you do need licenses if they are automatic arms. I'm not talking about cutlasses or machetes now.
Yeah.
But it's still a worrying instance, because if you're buying arms for your constituents, then that means they can still rise up and use it either against themselves or, you know, against the common good.
Anger and frustration.
Exactly, and that's the problem there, the anger and frustration. If you give an angry man arms, what are you expecting him to do with it after?
The anger.
Yeah.
And right on there it says, my son was killed, not insane. Mother of 21-year-old Moses cries out. That would be on page 5. And on page 2, flood ravages 3 local governments in Nasarawa, kills 1, destroys farmlands. That's by Nima. Besides that, on page 7, it says, Wike happy with Fubara Rivers Assembly return September 18th.
Of course he's happy with Fubara.
Excited, he came out to vote. And on page 2, also it says 2027 PDP presidential ticket open, but will avoid same religion controversy, Governor Mohammed. And right under it says budget open budget office, beg your pardon, admits delay in 2024 budget implementation on page 7. And you see beside it, say Nigeria's creative economy projected to hit $13.6 billion by 2028.
That's grand.
Page 10.
Right. That's all the dailies we have for you this morning. We're expecting our correspondents to be joining us. Oh, hang on a second. I am being made to know that we have one more that we seem to have passed on, and that's the Vanguard newspaper. Let me take that. Vanguard newspaper for Sunday has this headline here: front and center, looming strike in universities. Professors earn 633,333 naira. Senators, 21 million.
Interesting.
While lecturers want to shut down institutions. Say no more. I think this is enough reason already. ASU, CONUA speak on living wages. There is a list here. Vanguard has graciously given us a list here what they get. Graduate assistant, 125,000 naira. Assistant lecturers, 150,000. Lecturer 11, 186,000 plus. Lecturer 1, 239,000 plus. Senior lecturer, 386,000 plus. Reader, 436,000 naira plus. And professor, 633,333 naira.
That 333, it's 33.
I think it's you know how the fractions go. It's a very sad situation to see how we regard our academics in Nigeria. I don't want to say that it's a noble cause and your reward is in heaven, as we've always heard, but it's about time that they get treated nicely. Now, 3.2 million prepaid meters scheme suffers setback. Investigation. Nigerians hold night vigil to purchase products. I know, I went through that one time. Oyebanji, this is Ekiti 2026 heats up. Oyebanji supporters battle over 150 million, or rather 150 social media influencers in Ogun. Yewa rallies support for Isiaka.
Yeah.
And 36 died in boat mishap in 30 days. This is Sokoto in perpetual mourning. Sad situation there. At the very top, Fubara returns to office in 3 weeks. Wike apathy, Mars, Rivers, LG, polls. Well, thank you very much, Fubara, for coming out the doldrums. We would be expecting to be seeing more of you as you would be showing up in 3 weeks. No more, where is Waldo?
3 weeks.
So I bet that that's the last of the papers that we have for this morning. So let's take a quick break. And when we return, we will be speaking with our correspondents across River State to give us what the mood is like in River State as we expect the election results from the LG polls for yesterday. And it will constitute most of our discussion for today, along with other stuff. So do stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Extra here, our very first hour. Now, yesterday's local government elections in River State closed one chapter of political turbulence and opened another one. Now, amid a backdrop of legal wrangling, security showdowns, and bitter rivalry, the polls concluded with the Action People's Party winning 22 out of the 23 council's chairmanship seats. Now, observers from Nigerian Bar Association and also members of IPAC were present, and we're going to be getting to talking about the stats from the elections for yesterday. However, we have our correspondents who are spread across River State, and we have one of them right now, and that's Austin Azu, who will be joining us. Austin, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We want to know exactly where you are. We are aware you are in Ahoda right now, But where exactly are you at the moment, and what is the mood like as we're expecting the results from yesterday?
Good morning. Of course, like you rightly stated, we are at Ahoda West local government area of Rivers State, and currently we are at Ibiama. However, the atmosphere this morning seems to be quite better than that of yesterday, because yesterday there was restriction of vehicular movement and human movement as well. So we didn't have this kind of movement that we are observing on the east-west road, because from the entrance into Rivers State, there was a barricade by police and security agencies to forestall movement into the state, except those on essential duties. So this morning right now, today is Sunday, of course, we have various individuals who are going to their worship centers, and hence we have this movement, and today there's no restriction of movement anymore. So back to what happened yesterday. Yesterday was the D-Day for the local government election, and everybody, those who went to the poll, and those who did not, decided to do otherwise. Of course, we are at the market yesterday. We saw how early the traders were displaying their goods and gear, and when we spoke to many of them, they were not quite interested in going into going into their various polling units. They have their own personal reasons and so on and so forth. So we begin. We started with going to the polling units. We went to the polling units. We discovered very late arrival of materials, and some of the polling units we went to, we equally observed that the ad hoc staff of RISEC, and including some political agents, we have more than the ballot papers that were counted on the ballots. So we asked questions, why was it like that? Some of them were saying that people didn't come out, people were coming out in their various numbers and so on and so forth. But interestingly, we saw some individuals, instead of them going to the poll to go and vote yesterday, they were rather engaged in playing games. We caught one on camera who was at the game shop, trying to, according to him, he wanted to hustle and get some money, and he rightly stated that it's better for him to make money than for him to go and vote. And subsequently, we went further to other local government areas where we discovered as well people were just kind of not concerned. Really, they didn't show much concern about the election. So obviously, one can categorically state that there was a low turnout of voters yesterday. But from a consensus we had, and from what we observed so far, the election was quite peaceful across the local government areas we visited, and political party agents, they were quite, in agreement to ensure they are able to maintain peace and order. But most of the political parties we saw on the ballot, and those agents we saw, were PDP, APC, Labour Party, and the SDP. Labour Party was just like a low voice, because the young man we spoke to yesterday, blessed Mr. Deck, actually confirmed the fact that he has to step down and he has to do whatsoever because of the issues and so on and so forth. So I think that is an issue that they need to work out for themselves. But it was a quite a moment. It was a quite engaging moment yesterday for the electorates in Rivers State. Of course, they have decided their own grassroots representatives that actually bring down development to their grassroots. So we are looking forward to see the results from each of the local government areas. Few local government areas have announced that already, and waiting for RISEC to conclude the process whereby all the results from the 23 local government areas will be announced. And that's basically what we observed yesterday, and that's how it has been like the mood this morning in Ibiama, precisely Ahoda West local government area. Everybody is going about their lawful duties already, no restriction of movement. Everywhere seems to be bright, and of course, some of those who contested the election are waiting for the outcome of the election, as RISEC will announce in a due course. So back to you, Zino.
Well, it's Queen who's actually got the next question, but Queen, go ahead, please.
Austin, you mentioned that in some words they did not have enough materials because they had more people turn out and low materials. How did they resolve that issue for them to vote?
Now, actually what I stated was like the people on the ground, when I mean the RISEC ad hoc staff, party agents, and security personnel on the polling units, we are more than the ballot papers that were on the ballot box. We took an observation about them, and you can barely see nothing less than 10 ballot papers inside the box, and you have more than 15 persons stationed at the polling units. So it gave us curiosity to question what happened. How come people are not coming out to vote? How come that these ballot boxes have failed? So in that case, they responded by saying that they were still expecting the voters to come to vote. It was around 2:30 p.m. and 3 o'clock yesterday. And some of them actually claimed that they did not arrive on time. So practically because of that, they actually stalled the process. But there were some kind of individuals who actually expressed diverse opinion regarding the process at which the RISEC conducted ad hoc staff. And prior to the election, we discovered and we saw a large numbers of them, clogging around the RISEC office at the headquarters, which is in Port Harcourt. And that trickled down to the local government areas, whereby some of these ad hoc staff, they couldn't even find their names. One in question was one of the member of the PWD who complained bitterly how he couldn't find his name on the paper posted on the wall, and there's no way he could actually move to go and see for himself because there was no preparation, there was no provision made for the PWDs. So that actually creates another concerns that RISEC need to work upon in terms of adequate preparation for any local government elections, so that the people can, be properly informed. RISEC ad hoc staff be trained. And I asked one of the stakeholders yesterday, the political party agents, precisely at Emoha local government area, Ward 2, Unit 3, and I asked the question, how come that we have a lot of passerby, people who are going about their normal businesses, how come they were not coming to the polling units to come and vote? And I asked the question, were there no proper sensitization for this exercise? Guess what he replied? That the sensitization came to them, waiting for them to come. They are still begging them to come and vote. And a situation such as this is their civic responsibility for them to go and vote. But it was quite obvious that they were kind of lukewarm attitude towards this election by the electorate compared to what they had in the previous years and compared to what they had in the general election, whereby everyone is so much interested in going to the poll to go and vote. And they made their own points yesterday that even if they vote, there is going to be a one-party system. So, but it's just left for them to decide. But nevertheless, election has come and gone, and the winner will soon be announced. So, obviously, we think the next phase of the election is something that RISEC need to work on in terms of adequate preparation.
Thank you, Austin. Well, Austin, the papers this morning, we actually heard that there was plenty turnout at the grassroots. So we're wondering whether this is an isolated instance at your own location. We also thought that perhaps the reason why there might have been more people come out to vote at the grassroots this time would be because the people of Rivers State are absolutely tired of what's going on and just wants to have a hold on governance. So please, can you reconcile what we saw on the dailies this morning regarding the turnout and what you are seeing on ground?
Yes, as journalists, we have various, views to what we have seen on the field. I'm currently on the field, and we went around the various polling units, not just the local government areas. And our visuals are there. They can tell the story if what we are saying can be confirmed by what some of the dailies have reported. Like I rightly stated, there was a particular polling unit we went to where I keep maintaining that the political party agents, the RISEC ad hoc staff, are more than the ballot papers on the box. So where are those voters? We ask the question. So if we have massive turnout for the local government election, it means that we are contradicting what some other people are reporting. We spoke to stakeholders yesterday. They equally confirmed to us. One of them is, I don't want to mention his name, but is an appointee to the sole administrator in Rivers State, who equally confirmed to us that yes, there were kind of setbacks regarding the election because one, the low turnout of voters can be attributed to late arrival of materials and inadequate preparation for the election. Of course, some of them said that this election was just put together within 1 week, so that people were not properly, informed. There was no, mass enlightenment and so on and so forth. In terms of mobilization, was equally something that equally created concern. At Ahoda West local government area yesterday, and the materials left the secretariat at about 1:30 p.m. Materials that were supposed to leave the council area before 8 o'clock and get the police station open for election by 8, and all election closes by 3 to 4. They ended up going around 2 to 1, and they returned back very late yesterday. And this is likely what happened to some other local government areas. At the grassroots level, it was almost the same thing. So there was a low turnout of voters, which has been established by these stakeholders we spoke to yesterday.
So Austin, now from what you've seen regarding the low turnout, what could you attribute this to in your own personal experience? Could it be the election materials not coming through on time? Could it be the voter apathy from the confusion that has been caused because of the drama at River State? Where is that apathy coming from? What's causing it, do you think?
Well, if I had the opportunity of getting one of the respondents, which we spoke to yesterday, to confirm these statements, I believe they will be in a better position to explain it better than what I'm trying to establish here. Now, the voter apathy and other issues that actually create this election is attributed to the fact that the process was not properly organized. And one in question is that adequate arrangements were not properly placed. RISEC ad hoc staff were not properly, dispatched on time, and these are the issues that really contributed to the low turnout of voters. And not only that, too, adequate sensitization of electorate, because if, for instance, you have local government election ongoing and people are going about their lawful duties, particularly those who have shown that they are not going to vote in any of the election, it means that there was no proper enlightenment. And two, the political parties involved, how much do they, enlighten their people, their followers about the election? How many political parties on their own really, came out in their large numbers and say, yes, we are going to vote? So these are the issues that one can actually, point to the fact that there were actually low turnout of voters, because they actually contributed. A situation whereby electoral materials are leaving the local governments for hard to reach communities, arriving very late, and so on and so forth. It means that there was no adequate preparation for this whole exercise. And we don't want to delve into the issue of logistics. The issue of logistics was actually another concern, because we saw large numbers of some of those ad hoc staff just hanging around waiting for some other person to come and pick them. We couldn't get them on camera because at the time we get there, some of them have dispatched because they saw that, yes, we are actually coming. They saw our vehicle and they have to, scatter themselves and so on and so forth. So it's something that, apart from the local government elections in Rivers, it's something that every other state needs to work upon in terms of adequate preparation, in terms of mobilization, in terms of adequate sensitization of electorates, and of course, the political party must be involved in campaign of reaching out to their faithful to ensure that they are able to come out on the day of election. And of course, the police, the security agencies were very civil yesterday. There were no issue of violence in any of the polling units. But however, we saw most of them stationed along the road, and they stationed about few meters away from the polling units. So they were quite very civil and quite engaging. But the electorates on their own, most of them defied the election based on their personal reasons. And of course, we can say that there was low turnout of voters yesterday. If you compare these results right now, compared to previous results or previous elections held, you agree with me that there's a decline in terms of electorates that came out to vote compared to previous election.
Thank you so much, Austin, for giving us that update. We'll come back to you at some point during the show. Now let's have a visual of what people were saying yesterday concerning the Rivers State local government election. Let's take a look.
Why didn't you go to vote today? Why you no go vote?
The material have not come down there, the town hall. The place are voting. The material have not come down. They're going to the local government to go and call materials.
Why you no go vote?
No food to eat after the election.
Okay, so now make you no go vote.
We no go any day where we no come market, no food to eat.
I'm so happy that today is election day, and we are preparing to come to the voting point. But normally some people are busy in their various houses preparing to vote, because everybody knows that today is election day, and no one is expected to move to anywhere like work except he go to his center to vote. And I'm very grateful that at least we value the day, we give respect to this day. I'm so happy. At least the place is well clean kept for everyone to come in with peace and of good heart. So, nevertheless, I even appreciate people that are here. Times when people never come. I believe they are still arranging to come, even if they are not yet here. Maybe they are on their way. Maybe there are some of them on their way coming. Like of me, I am here. Yes, I'm here. That is what I can speak for their behalf. Yes, I believe they are on their way coming. Even if you do not see them now, I believe they are on their way coming. Not that they will not be here, or not that they will not vote.
Then the reason why there is a delay in the election today is because the material are not arrived yet. And apart from that, the preparation of the election was not already being done before this early morning. It will be fine. Everything will go well, very well, because I believe there is peace in this area. In terms of election, there is no issue, there is no anything like fighting or misunderstanding in this very particular community in Myanmar.
I'm the one of the trainee from the RISEC, but I called it to them. They said they sent my name to the RISEC from my other West headquarters. Now I've come here to find my name. I did not see my name, and moreover, the place there is a reachable this thing. As the place there. I cannot step down, cannot come down and go and watch my name. I send somebody to go and look my name, and the person search everywhere. They don't see my name. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy because the way people are taking us, I don't understand. Because people should treat us well because we'll be special people. So the special people.
Yeah, we are still waiting for them. And also some persons are around like them. They are waiting to vote. So waiting for material to be prepared. They are also preparing setting the place.
Oh, but they said the materials are already around?
Because the PDP, the presiding officer is around.
Okay.
The polling clerk is also here. So they are trying to set up the place.
Okay.
So we also have some persons around waiting to vote.
Okay. So what's your assessment so far? What has happened here? What has been happening here? When they started? When the materials got here? And what you've heard around your environment?
Everything is going peacefully. I can see some persons are also waiting, willing to vote. They are willing to be around with us. Everything is going well, and it's going.
We arrived around the hour of 7:39 a.m. this morning.
7:39 a.m. this morning. How many electorates is this units catering to?
It's 38.
38.
Yeah.
Okay. Have there been any electorates so far?
No.
No one has come in to vote here?
Yeah, I believe they'll soon be coming.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
This is Ward 9, and the polling unit is Unit 20.
Have elections voting begun yet?
No, not yet. We are just receiving the materials, and as you can see, we're preparing.
Are you running late already?
No. I don't think so. We're just coming in.
Reactions from people yesterday in Rivers State regarding the elections. Some of them saying, hey, we need to eat. I'd rather do that than actually go out voting.
And my
Others
guy
saying,
said he's
hey,
happy.
He's happy that it's election day.
Yes.
Woohoo, holiday. So those are the different reactions from the streets of Rivers State for yesterday. We are still talking about the LG elections, and as we expect the results, we have our correspondents who are all across Rivers State. From Obiakwa local government area, we have Ibalani Omoni, who is going to be giving us an update about what is happening there. Ni, good morning. Thank you very much for joining Breakfast Extra this morning. Please do tell us what the situation is like in Obiakwa.
I almost felt like I was listening to an ADR as we speak. Anyways, Obiakwa is peaceful this morning. Elections are over, and it seems just as it's over, the conversations around it is also over. In fact, everyone has moved on quite quickly, and no one is even talking about it right now. Except at the RISEC office, of course, where we are expecting an announcement very soon. We were there till around 11:30 yesterday, hoping there will be some sort of declaration, but inside information we got was that the results were still trickling in from various local governments, so that could not hold yesterday. We have our fingers tucked in, hoping to get an information this morning so that we can give you the latest there once they're about to declare the results. And speaking to the environment, it's quite calm. It's Sunday morning, of course. Largely, majority of Port Harcourt people are Christians, and at this time you would expect they will be in church. Hence the low economic activities we see this morning, and the low residential movement we can see as well. But of course, the roads are busy. Vehicular movement is active. We've seen some field police patrol vehicles around, just, checking out the area once in a while. And that's the update I have for you for now. As regards how the mood is after election and what the people are saying, as I said earlier, they really just don't want to talk about it. So, in someone's words, I remember in someone's words, he said, well, they've done what they want to do. So now, let's move on. And I tried quizzing him further to know what that means, what the idea of they've done what they want to do is, but that's his own opinion. Whichever way, election held yesterday, it was covered. We're waiting for the results. That's the update.
Tony, good morning. I wanted to just ask, I know you covered Wike's arrival yesterday at the poll. Can you tell us what the ambience was like when he got there and what he said, or the comments from the citizens? And the comments from the citizens.
Well, obviously, we know the kind of power the Federal Capital Territory Minister has in Rivers State, and of course, a set of people or a group of people or a faction of people, or even the people, we can't tell now, love him for who he is. The people who love him for who he is. And just a few minutes before he came, his polling units was actually one of the few I saw that had a lot of people at some point. And just as he came in, everywhere it's like everybody from every other polling unit just came to that particular polling unit. Maybe to see him vote, I wouldn't be able to tell, but they were there to just walk with him, to celebrate him, to welcome him. And he went along, cast his vote. After he cast his vote, he came down, ran some interviews, and just moved into his vehicle. Interacted with some of his community members. We saw, I was able to identify, I can't say for exactly, I think some of his brother, and someone said they saw his father. I can't identify his father, but they said they saw his father as well. So, and he interacted with the community, asking them to reach out to him. In fact, he was telling, oh, you have my phone number, why didn't you call me? And he interacted with them well. So there's nothing else to see there because it's not a political move in a particular way. So I can't say it's related to the election. But what he did yesterday was he exercised his franchise, and that's all there is to it. Does it affect the polls there? No. Did it affect the operations of the workers there or the ad hoc staffs there during the electoral process? No. He came to cast his vote and left, just like every other person that was on the queue yesterday that came to cast their vote. In fact, we had an 81-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, elder at that same polling unit, and I was so inquisitive to ask him that, why did you decide to come out to vote? You're 81. You're using a walking stick. Why is it important for you to come out? And he said, this is right. So obviously, these people know their rights. They want to exercise their franchise, and they don't want anyone to take that power away from them. And that's why they came out yesterday. And it's not the only elderly person I saw, too. A group of younger generations. Why we have some set of younger generations that were that made the streets their interim pitch. there were young people at that particular polling unit as well, young, old, aged, male, female, out there to cast their votes at that particular polling unit.
I want us to take it away from the elections yesterday. I really am very interested in what Wike is seen as by his own people. So I'm going to delve more into what it was like there when he came yesterday. You said that you mentioned that he actually had certain relationships with people where they were even talking about perhaps maybe calling him or not calling him. What is Wike like when he's in Obiakpo? Is he the same FCT minister we're used to seeing, rather brash, very outspoken, sometimes, you know, not to people's advantage? What is he like when he is home?
I'll speak to what I saw yesterday, and that's the fact that once the two riders, because they have two riders that first come in, and once that signals his arrival, then we have the convoy that comes in afterwards. Once we saw that those two riders come in, I don't know where the multitude came out from, I don't know where the people came out from, but I just know that the population at that polling unit just doubled. In fact, I can say tripled. And that could be interpreted in a lot of ways, but we'll keep it at that, as love, as respect, as they want to see him, and a whole lot of things, different people for different reasons. And once he got there, everyone was almost on standby, waiting to see him, waiting to, you know, look at what he's going to do, what he's going to say. As we know, the minister is a very outspoken person, and he doesn't hide it. He speaks. When you ask him, he will tell you his mind. And I would just like to pick some of the comments he made yesterday. Aside the ones he made to his members, friends there, that, oh, they should reach out to him, they should call him. He made comments also about the local government elections and how it relates to the state of emergency and its removal and its suspension of ex-suspended Governor Fubara, noting that now the coast is clear for the state of emergency to be taken away, which means that, oh, now we have, in his own words, a legitimate election where the right people are in place across local government, that is the grassroots politics. Now, the suspended governor can be reinstated, and that means a lot, and that could interpret a lot for a whole lot of people. So yes, he has his fingers, he has his hands, he has his power across a lot of things, and people were there yesterday for different reasons to observe different things. Family, friends, media also was there to pick out soundbite as we did, to hear what he has to say about every single thing. Because as we say, you know, there's also the concern of two parties in APC, two major parties dominated the election, yeah? The APC and the PDP. And there are words, rumors on ground that the APC has another faction, and there are words that, oh, at some point the APC and the PDP have a merger, or they were sponsoring each other's candidacy, and oh, a particular principal has powers in that, and so many other ones. It is a whole lot. We can't keep unraveling it. And I used to say that every time I come to River State, I said River State politics is not 11 plus 11. When you say 11 plus 11, you don't get 22. You get 454. It's totally different. You can't predict it. It's premium politics. It's way beyond any other thing you can see. So I would say the mode was intense. Immediately he came in yesterday. A lot of people wanted to see him, and of course for various reasons.
Picture that you paint, because you paint a picture of a person who, well, outwardly people might think is, well, they might not like him, but from his own constituency, you can see the kind of love that he actually gets. Not just that, but the fact that while he is in the APC, he's also getting love from people in the PDP as well. So I can imagine how people would throng to go see him at his unit's vote. But tell me, were you excited to see him? You can tell us.
Mazino, my feelings don't count here, because the truth is my job is to report facts and not truth, and I'm not the story. So my feelings does not matter here. I'm there to do my job. I'm there to give facts of what is happening, of what the reactions of people are. I couldn't even vote, so how can I even give my feelings in the first place? Because I'm on the field working. So there's no way I would have any time to start digging my own emotions and saying, oh, this is how I feel. practically, when he was talking, I was holding my phone like this to capture sound bites, Mazino. So tell me what feeling I'm having at that point when I'm being squeezed and I'm holding my phone high and my hands were shivering at some point after holding my phone for so long. My emotions then was, God, can this thing just be over? So I think that would be my emotions at that time. I had no particular emotions towards him. I was just there to capture every single thing he said, capture every moment so I can give the right details and updates. And of course, so the News Central people can, and News Central viewers can understand and see what exactly is happening on the field.
Thank you very much for holding your very awkward position all while we're getting all that information. We appreciate it, but I don't care what you think. I think you were excited. You were excited, Nee. Thank you very much, Nee.
Thank you very much.
All right, then.
So while we're not able to get Nee's reaction or his emotions, at least he did his job. And we got a video
of the
FCT
minister.
minister's reaction after he voted in his local government in Enugu. Let's take a look.
Thank God Almighty that today, 30th of August, which is scheduled to hold the local government elections in River State. And again, I want to thank RISEC for carrying out a very, very successful conduct of the government election. Let me make it clear that this is a local government election. And I expect, particularly the media, to have done their homework very well in doing where there are residential areas, in knowing where there are commercial areas. When you go to commercial areas, you don't expect much a large turnout of people. But when you go to high residential areas, you of course do expect people to turn up. Particularly as I'm here now, this is my community. I can see the turnout of people in this particular unit. So also it is in other units. But if you go to where you have commercial area, more to speak, you don't expect much people. Go to the rural area because it's local government area. More participation is taken in the rural area because of councillorship position. And so most people who are also not in this university, they feel that look, there's no need since we are not having a truth promoted by having their own people contesting the election. So I'm very happy with the turnouts of people. I've got a lot of reports from the rural areas that people came out very well to participate in this election. So I'm very happy. There was no election and law. The Supreme Court said there was no election. They nullified the election. I said there was no election. There was no election. Today we are holding election, and that's why you see people have come out to also cast their votes. If you do something that is not done to law, of course it will be set aside, and it was set aside. And now that the process is very clear and goes according to the law, nobody's worried. What people are doing is just to come out and cast their vote for whoever they want them to represent them at the local government level. And that is why we have to thank Mr. President for taking the bold step to make sure that this election is conducted. First of all, if election is not conducted, you know that Supreme Court has said there's nothing like caretaker committees in local government, and if there are no elected people, it means that funds will not come from the federation account to local government councils. And that means that if the emergency rule is lifted and there's no local government election, we'll still have the same problem. And now that local government election is taking place, it means that they've elected people and then they will get funds directly from the federation account. So everybody must rally out to support the conduct of this particular election in order to stabilize the grassroots level. By the time the state of emergency is lifted on the 18th of September, it means that the governor and the state assembly will come back. So without local government, it will not have been complete. So we are very glad that today we are conducting this election, and by the end of the day, elected people will emerge and they will be sworn in, and they will not have elected representatives at the grassroots level.
That was quite interesting, you know, having seen the FCT minister vote. And, you know, right now it is so fascinating because the continuous voters registration is ongoing. Yeah. And I feel like this is just an example for people to come out. If he could leave Abuja and go to his local government to vote, that means he's trying to tell us something. We need to revive our grassroots.
Exactly.
Nigerians, Biko, Ejo, Mbo, I beg.
Nice. That's the other languages.
Fine, if your voter's card is missing, you don't know your word, this is the right time. we need to grab the government. It is ours. It's really ours. We're the one that choose who governs us. And if we're complaining, there's nothing to be done.
The thing is, most of that complaint that you're complaining out there is actually because you haven't done your side of things.
Yes.
As the electorates to actually gather your own or make sure your own house is in order. That house starts from the local government level. Now, Wiki came all the way from Abuja.
All the way.
So you're still in your own local government and you haven't gone to go get your voter's card. So that's an example for all of us to actually take and make sure that we're ready or prepared for 2027, because you make that decision, not the politicians. You are the one who puts them in office, and it starts from the grassroots, the local government elections.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to him anyway, and that's a good example. So lead by example. I think he did well. A for that.
Aside every other thing.
Okay, so tell you what, we're going to do a short break, and when we come back, I will be bringing you the news. And you're welcome. It's still Breakfast Extra, but now let's give you the headlines. My name is Mazino Appeal. We begin with politics. Local government elections in Rivers State has concluded across 23 LGAs and 319 wards, and thousands of polling units are organized by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission on Saturday. This election follows the Supreme Court nullification of the October 2024 local government polls due to Electoral Act violations. Results are currently being collated and are expected to be announced soon. The peaceful conduct of the election is seen as a positive step towards restoring democratic governance at the grassroots level in Rivers State. News Central's Victor Mbadike has more on this.
Voting commenced around late morning between 10:30 and 11:30 in many polling units across the local government areas. While security was tight and generally effective, turnout was visibly low, with many residents choosing to stay home. Markets and major roads, however, remained surprisingly active throughout the voting period. Some voters were optimistic about the process, while others expressed disappointment about the exercise.
The voting went well. Security, we have our security men on ground. Everybody's happy. Everybody has come out to cast their franchise. And I think it's a serene atmosphere. I think it has gone well.
The election this time, the crowd, the persons, all the voters came out. No issue, no fighting, no argument. Everything went peaceful.
We have not seen a nation like this. This is our first time experiencing something like this. There's a very peace in the local government. We are all happy for what Rivers State government have done for us, for what the leader of the Okoro Kingdom, Honorable Mike Goloma, have done for us in the Okoro Kingdom, in the Okoro government.
It's my own responsibility to vote. I'm a Nigerian. I have to vote someone that I like.
We observe that we do not have the election result sheet, which is meant to be given to us by the government. We did not have it. This is what is being given us. We are given a piece of paper. We are given a piece of paper. This is the result sheet which I have in my hands, which was given to us by government. So I do not understand if the federal government are aware of this, or probably is a private individual who decided to use this as an opportunity for them to destabilize the election and behave the way they want to behave. We are not happy in order to rig the election in their favor. We are not happy. Personally, I, as the APP candidate, I am not happy in this respect. Even in one of the units, my people told me that some group of young men, hooligans, came there and took the ballot boxes. As I speak to you, the ballot boxes have not been found up to this moment.
The Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, who also cast his ballot, expressed confidence that normalcy would now return to the state.
First of all, if election is not conducted, you know that Supreme Court has said There's nothing like caretaker committees in local government. And if there are no elected people, their votes will not come from the federation account to local government councils. And that means that if the emergency rule is lifted and there's no local government election, we'll still have the same problem. And now that local government election is taking place, it means that they've elected people, and then they will get funds directly from the federation account. So everybody must stand down to support the conduct of this particular election in order to stabilize the grassroots level.
As at the time of filing this report, sorting and counting had already begun. The Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission says winners will be announced shortly. For News Central, Victor Badeke.
Meanwhile, All Progressive Congress has been declared the winner of the Thai local government election. Chairmanship returning officer Muelu Barikpan, while announcing the results, said the APC had 70,080 votes, while the People's Democratic Party polled 1,245 votes.
And 8 votes. APC, 70,080 votes. PDP, 1,245 votes. PROP, 532 votes. Total valid votes for the LGA for today's election stands at 72,770 votes, with a total of 326 votes as rejected votes, bringing us to total vote cast for this election as 73,096 votes, which is in agreement with the total number of votes of 73,096 persons that were accredited. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, my business is done. The rest will be to the Commission. Thank you for being here.
Now, reactions have continued to trail the decision of the People's Democratic Party to zone the 2027 presidential ticket to the southern part of the country. Analysts say that the move could calm tensions, appease grieved factions, and also shape the party's future. But it may also open fresh debates within the party. Our correspondent Sumaya Abubakar reports following developments.
Zoning has always been a delicate balancing for the PDP. Supporters describe this decision as a return to equity, while others are simply asking if this genuinely will heal the cracks within the party or simply paper over them.
The National Executive Committee's decision to zone the 2027 presidential ticket to the south has revived conversations around fairness and strategy. Some party figures and political analysts believe the decision could restore confidence among members and strengthen PDP's electoral chances, while others remain skeptical.
It's a first step, and it's a step that we are going to consolidate on. This is the spirit of friendship, oneness, and camaraderie at its best. So it's something that I believe the Southerners will not take for granted.
There are still a lot of issues, because if you go and do national convention, and for instance, Ali Odefa participates in that national convention, it renders the convention a nullity. It's a simple matter.
It's in the best interest of PDP to have done what they did. What it does for them is it will halt the defections.
But while optimism is growing in some quarters, questions remain about whether zoning alone can resolve deeper issues affecting the party. Observers point to lingering issues of trust, power sharing, and the challenge of uniting diverse blocs under one ticket.
The issue, at least for now, has been resolved. So going forward is to now have a peaceful and rancor-free elective convention in November in Ibadan. If they are able to have that, I tell you, a sizable number of those who have defected may come back.
The discussions and the conversations within the political parties should, whether they want zoning or not, delve more into how they offer credible, constructive, and effective alternatives to the current kind of governance that is on offer.
For now, the PDP's zoning move to the south is being closely watched, both by its supporters and its rivals. Whether it truly cements unity or sets the stage for new debates will become clearer in the months ahead. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
A cross-section of religious leaders, scholars, civil society actors and community representatives in Benue State have called on the federal government to create policies that will guarantee citizens the right to practice their religion without intimidation or discrimination. This was during a town hall meeting organized by Faith and Freedom Africa, where issues bordering on promoting peaceful coexistence, ensuring justice and mutual respect for all citizens, irrespective of their religious affiliations.
That we call on the policymakers to consider that religious freedom is a right, which is enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria in Section 38. And let it be loud and clear that everyone has the right to practice his religion. Everyone has the right to do what is in his conscience, to practice a religion of his choice.
In Nigeria, traditionalists are not given opportunities like Christians and Muslims. You see government creating agencies for Christian pilgrimage and Hajj, and there's none for supporting traditionalists. There should be policies formulated to support traditional practitioners.
We are going to step it down to our organization to make sure that everybody have the knowledge of form. Because freedom for religion belief is very key. Right in the community, at our various schools, we need to inculcate this knowledge so that peace will reign within the community and in nation.
We need religious tolerance, and that was one of the high points of this meeting today. The need for us to have religious tolerance, the need for us to show understanding for one another, and that all of us have one mission, living together peacefully. Peace is needed for development to occur, and that is what has been stressed in this town hall meeting today.
Welcome back. This is still Breakfast Extra. The United States' recent shift in visa policy has triggered a storm of uncertainty for Nigeria's seafarers. At the heart of the matter is the C-1D visa, a document traditionally issued as a one-year multiple entry visa, allowing airline and ship crew members to transit, board vessels, and keep global trade running smoothly. Now reclassified as a single entry visa, the change drastically limits the ability to work, effectively threatening livelihoods across Nigeria's maritime workforce. For a country like Nigeria, where seafarers are not only vital to international commerce, but also critical breadwinners for their families, this policy has landed like an anchor of despair. Unable to guarantee multiple entries, seafarers are watching contracts slip through their fingers. Employers are turning elsewhere, and what was once a pathway to steady work is quickly collapsing into economic hardship. Petitions have already been sent to the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but for many, time is running out.
So to unpack this unfolding crisis, we're joined by, we will be joined by a couple more voices, but currently we have Mr. Olanipekun Oladimejido. He's a professional seafarer navigating the storm firsthand. Olanipekun, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here this morning. Let's talk about these issues. What kind of visa restrictions are seafarers experiencing, and how exactly is it affecting their jobs, their families, their lives?
Thank you very much for having me. Once again, my name is Olanipekun Oladimeji. Presently, the U.S. government made the visa, like we are seafarers, we are using C-1D visa actually to transit into the U.S., and Presently, that was July. There was a policy that was issued by the U.S. government that the C1D visa, which used to be 2 years multiple entry, they make it 3 months for 14 African countries, which is really which has affected a lot of Nigerian seafarers. Has affected a lot of Nigerian seafarers. 3 months single entry. Our contract on cruise ship used to be 6 months, some 9 months upward. But to our surprise, to our greatest surprise, it was said that the visa would be 3 months single entry, which our companies that we're working with said, okay, if that is the case, this cannot work. That is a government-to-government thing, that we should go back to our own country and relay with our government if peradventure they can have an agreement with the U.S. government for them to revise the visa policy, the new visa policy, which is the reciprocity, 3 month reciprocity, which is not in favor of the seafarers at all working in the U.S. waters.
All right, Olanipekun, thank you very much for giving us that overview of what's going on. Now, how exactly does this affect your job? Is it that because of the restriction, you're unable to stay longer on cruise ships, or rather on ships, rather, or offshore? Does this include your entry into countries?
Actually, it does not restrict us from entering the country. What it does is that, what this means is that we can only stay in US for only 3 months.
Okay.
Which the company requirement is at least 1 year multiple entry.
Okay.
Because of the duration of our contracts on board.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much. Now, I'm being told that we're joined by 2 other guests.
Yes, we have Jeremiah Emmanuel, who's an electrical engineer advocating on behalf of his colleagues, and also we have Paul Honorio, a waiter whose work also ties into the broader maritime workforce. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
So let me ask Paul. So Paul, we are very interested in this issue right here, and it's very interesting to know that this is something that has been overlooked from before. Now, who's responsible on the Nigerian side for these kinds of policies? Where do employees like you and your lot, where do you go at the end of the day when you have these kinds of issues with visa restrictions?
That question. So when it regards to visa restrictions and the stuff, we have not been having a representative so far in that department due to more of the job has been more of a one-on-one with the company via the internet, in the sense of the interviews and how the companies get to reach out to you. They reach out via emails and all the rest. So we have really not have any representative on this department when it comes to seafarers at large in the international borders. I hope that answers the question.
But is there a union of sorts at all?
Not at all. Not that I know of. Probably that would be the best answer to say.
Paul, my question to you would be that now that we have this situation, and I know that a lot of people were talking that maybe the restrictions are coming from people actually having these visas and not coming back or going back to their home country when their visa expires. What's your take on that, Paul? Do you think that's the major reason this is happening?
It's a yes or a no, because due to my well-known understanding, the companies do have what we call the agreement with the American government, in a sense, when it comes to, because we get to do, there's what you call the 29 days checkmate with the CBP. So the CBP is the American border, that they get to take some numbers of people out of the ship to check that they are still online with their visa policies. And also, most of the time when those, for example, those that have just been employed for their first contract, when they are done with their first contract, they have been escorted by securities to the, let's say, to the airport to make sure that they stay aligned under the documentations agreement with the American government. So also we do have what we call this I-95. So I think that was a few years back, some few people that were first contract were not eligible to have that I-95, which is like a document that allows you to just go out of port in the US for some few hours to get some itineraries that might be needed. But some were not allowed to be given that. So there is that control that the company does their best to make sure that they control that part for each and everybody to align and stay within their visa policies.
Okay. And we also have Jeremiah Ibrahim. Jeremiah, thank you very much for joining. You are at the forefront of advocacy, so I'm wondering exactly whom have you spoken with when it comes to speaking with the authority, and what reactions have you gotten back from these authorities?
Thank you. We've written a petition to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about this. We've also written a petition to NIMASA. NIMASA is the Nigerian in charge of maritime in Nigeria, Nigeria Maritime and Safety Agency. Then we've written also to Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sani Bello, and we also wrote to Minister in charge of Maritime Transport, and the Senator in charge of Maritime Transport, and the Senator in charge of Foreign Affairs. Then we wrote to the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, listing our concerns, because this issue they were talking about overstaying of visa, security concern, and fake documents. And we told them that we seafarers, we don't overstay our visa. We go, we do our jobs, and we come back. Fake documents, the companies, they verify all our documents before employing us. And also, when it comes to security concern, we did a lot of background checks. And the company did a lot of background check and even police reports. We had to submit police report to them before they employed us.
So, Jeremiah, can you give us a list of people that this affects? Now, does it affect just cruise ship workers or employees? Does it affect people in the oil and gas sector as well, who might have the same kind of pattern of work that you do? Who, in what kind of sectors does it affect?
It affects all seafarers that need to go and work in the Caribbean or in the U.S. that need to transit through the U.S. Cruise ship and any ship calling in U.S. ports, because since September 11 attack, they introduced the C1D visa. Any ship calling in the U.S. port, even tankers and containers, the seafarers, they need to have this C1D visa. So anyone calling to the U.S. port, any ship in U.S. or even if offshore, they need to have the visa. So it's affecting everyone.
Okay, so what reaction did you get from the authorities upon the letters that you have sent to them?
We've not gotten any reply yet. We are still waiting for their response.
Okay, now, I'm going to come back to, let's see, that's Paul Honoré there. Now, Paul, your job would take you out of Nigeria for extensive periods of time, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what would happen? Give us an example of what would happen if your visa was to expire while you're on the job.
That almost never happens, in the sense of before you embark on any time frame of your contract, the company requires that your what is it called? Your visa is above a year. And most of the contracts are within 6 to 8 months, and the maximums are your 10 months contract. So literally you are still within the time frame of your visa. So the company requires a year and above So you almost or never you're not on board while your visa gets to expire. That never happens because that is the requirement from the company that your document is a year and above.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
So, Olanikbeku, let me ask you this. Like, from your perspective, what risk does this pose not only for the Nigerian workers, but also for the international shipping industries that rely on manpower from here?
It simply means there will be a lot of job losses, and the manpower will definitely be reduced, though there are a lot of workers like our counterparts in Zimbabwe. Their governments reviewed this policy and they are back to normal. So we are just pleading on Nigerian government to please assist the Nigerian seafarers. But definitely there will be a lot of loss of job and reduction in manpower on board the vessels that the seafarers are working.
So do you think the Nigerian party, do you think that your government, the Nigerian government, is actually paying attention to the seafarers at all? Can you compare the reaction you're getting from the Nigerian government towards your counterparts? I think, what was the country you mentioned now? What country was that? Your Zimbabwean counterparts.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
Can you compare the kind of reaction you're getting to the kind they got from their authorities?
Like Jeremiah said, we are still awaiting response from them. We've submitted the petition to all the parties that are involved, the Nigeria Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the U.S. Embassy, the minister. So we are still waiting on them for a positive response.
Okay, then. Go ahead, please.
And we are hoping that they improve for us, because most of us, most of the seafarers working on, most of the seafarers that are affected are actually the breadwinner of their families. So we are hoping, and we hope something will come from.
Okay, so, sorry. Ido, you mentioned that your Zimbabwean colleagues have been sorted. When you spoke to them, how long did it take for their government to help them sort this out? Do you have an idea of the time frame it took?
Actually, from the follow-up we're doing, because we have list of countries that are affected, from the follow-ups we have been doing, I think it took them about 3 to 4 weeks for their government to respond, and the visa was reversed to 2 years.
Okay, and how long?
Multiple entry.
And how long have the Nigerian seafarers been waiting for a reaction from the government?
We submitted the petition last week, so I think last week, Thursday or Friday. So we are hoping that this week, the resumption of work, will get a positive response from them.
Okay. Jeremiah, apart from petitions, what other methods are being explored here to try and get the attention of the authorities?
So we are doing media publications. That's what we are doing now. After the petition, we are trying to do media publication to call their notice to it, because this is very devastating.
Okay, then. Well, gentlemen, we will continue to monitor this situation, and we hope that there is indeed some attention that is brought to your plight. We hope that the authorities are actually watching, and hopefully, maybe by this week, they will get a response over to you guys. But we also have, what we're going to be playing now is a report by one of our correspondents regarding the visa restrictions that we have been experiencing from Nigeria, or here in Nigeria, that have been put in place by the U.S. But gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this discussion, and we'll continue to monitor your situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The possibility of a visa-free Africa represents a transformative vision for the continent, one that promotes unity, boosts economic integration, and strengthens Pan-African identity. By removing visa barriers for intra-African travel, countries could unlock immense opportunities for trade, tourism, labor mobility, and cultural exchange.
Yet, For millions of Africans, exploring their own continent poses a bureaucratic and costly challenge.
There's 8 of us embarking on this campaign, $11,800 in visa fees alone. You can imagine what that money would do if it were to be spent, on the road to buy fuel or food or even souvenirs, to share with our journalist friends. If these were non-existent, if we were to reduce the, barriers to the movement of our people, I have absolutely no doubt that it would increase the GDP of our respective countries.
This initiative, which aims to promote a visa-free travel experience across Africa, also intends to foster regional integration, economic growth, and cultural exchange. After visiting Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, the team has now moved on to Cameroon as part of their 40,000-kilometer journey across 39 African countries.
When we went to Benin, they were quite excited, and they forcefully said that, look, they are doing it, and they are willing, to urge other excellencies within Africa to embrace it. And as you know, Nigerians haven't flooded Benin. Nigerians haven't overrun Benin, because the fear is that if there are open borders, we're going to have mass migration, etc. Nigerians haven't, the big brother of West Africa has not flooded Ghana.
According to experts, a borderless Africa could increase intra-African tourism by more than 50%, spurring economic growth in sectors from hospitality to transport. With this new campaign, the message is clear. It's time to remove the borders that divide citizens and embrace the unity that defines all Africans. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
So let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we have more interesting conversation. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Of course, this is Breakfast Extra, and it is time for strip. But of course, Mazito, let's do this.
You're a bit too excited for the strips.
Yes! One of my favorites.
Not that kind. Welcome, however, and thank you for joining me, because you will be a part of it, Queen. I will be throwing back at you and expecting to get your reaction about some of the cartoons that we're going to be showing today. So I love these because it's actually a very digestible way to get any information that you want. If you're not a reader, which you should be, but if you're not a reader, the strips always provide a one-look way of getting an idea of what Nigeria is going through, and that's why we decided that this is a great segment to have on Breakfast Extra. You're welcome. Let's start with our very first strip for this morning. Let's see now. Oh, good. Very interesting picture this. I'm going to tell you why. The Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, if I'm not mistaken, in charge of salaries and all of that. And now here we have common Nigerians. I will identify who exactly these common Nigerians might be eventually. And then here, let's say the senators, the politicians, the House of Reps, and all of that.
Stakeholders. The
stakeholders, thank you. Remember this morning, the Daily, do you remember how much the Nigerian professor gets as salary? 633,333 naira. And that's the highest. That's a professor. That's professor level. Now, do you know how much senators and the rest get? We also talked about it this morning, didn't we?
21.
21 what? 1,000 naira?
Million naira.
Million naira. You can see how ridiculously prorated things are. However, if you remember from last week, there was talk about increase of salaries for these office holders. When Nigerian teachers, or rather professors, or even the common man, we're still battling with 70,000 naira minimum wage. A couple of states only last week increased that to about 90,000 or 100,000 naira. But that doesn't cut it at all for the average person out there. It is a very bad situation. Queen, how much do you get? Oh, sorry, don't talk. Don't tell us. That came out, yeah, unexpectedly.
Excuse me?
I'm glad I got the desired effect of a surprise from you. But where I'm going is this. Do you think you might need more to survive the economy you find yourself? Your answer is, it's okay, HR is listening. This is your chance.
Yes. yes, we do. Because whether you like it or not, things are either going up, inflation here and there, and to be fair, with the way the world is, it's expensive everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you're putting in your energy, you're putting in your time, you always just want that little gift, which is either your salary or your stipend, whatever it is, just to be enough to, you know, live by.
Nobody's going to reject more, not even beauty queens.
At all. Reject less, more.
Exactly.
Welcome it.
So, poor situation in Nigeria. Armafact telling that, don't worry, wait, it's their turn for now. When is it going to be the turn of the common man is the question.
They haven't seen the last.
We don't. Let's take a look at the next one, which actually gives you a good idea of where the education sector finds itself. This is where we're heading to. Another strike, although I did learn that there might have been an agreement met on Friday regarding the education minister and the situation when it comes to tertiary education. But as we protest government's wicked neglect of universities, I think we have told exactly the situation that they are in. So we're not going to overstate that. But great cartoon here from the Daily Trust. Absolutely very, very apt. Let's move on now to another one. They get interesting as we go. Fantastic. The president promises to end hunger. Are you still hungry? No, I'm filled with his promises. This is debatable, Queen, because I have a very interesting take on the efforts of the presidency or even the governors, and it's not a very popular one. But so far, the promises of the current administration, how much do you think they've done if you were to give it a percentage score? How are they doing?
To be fair, I think this is where you say actions speak louder than words. You're promising, but I don't think a lot of Nigerians are seeing it. Remember a few days ago, we're talking about if they could give Nigerians good road and we have constant light. They might not necessarily come to ask you what's the budget for this year or anything, because to an extent, they're convenient. You know, they have good road, there's water, there's light. Those little things. Nigerians are very, very easy to please. But
Queen,
just telling us this,
thank you for being so fair. Because that was my argument. My argument is this. It won't all happen all at once. I took a drive with a colleague on Friday evening from the office here into the island, and it took us less than 30 minutes. And I recall times when it'll take us 4 hours. And I said to her, hey, do you realize that we just made it to the island in 30 minutes? Do you think that this could have been possible years back? Why do you think it's changing? Because you have better roads now, or at least there's better control of traffic. That means that some systems are beginning to work. And if you give it time, perhaps maybe we will get there. That's my argument when people talk about how slow governance is. But things don't just happen overnight. There are failings, there are flaws, there are foibles, don't get me wrong. But the little that we see, I think that we should encourage it. And perhaps maybe we'll get more in return. But I will say to the government and the authorities, yes, can you quicken up the pace a little bit, please? We need more development. But yes, there have been many promises from the presidency since from before he got into office up until now. And it doesn't seem like Nigerians are feeling that hope agenda he came in with. We're still hoping, apparently, and we're seeing less of him actually out there doing the development, but more campaigning. Many will argue he's not the one doing the campaigning, but then again, if he could talk to these people, so we see less of that and more of the efforts being put in by the presidency and the governors and the LG chairmen and all of that, I think Nigerians would better understand, like you put it, Queen, what's going on and the timeline with which they should expect change. Let's put it that way. We've got more. Let's see our next one for this morning. My best topic. Oh, cute Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch is getting plenty of knocks in the UK. Leader of the Conservative Party, whether she likes it or not, she still continues to fight on different grounds. One of those grounds is racism. If you were here a couple of weeks back, I did a monologue on Kemi Badenoch and Badenoch, by the way, Badenoch. And I had told that whether she likes it or not, she will still always be seen as the black Conservative leader. And before you know it, after that, it's like as if all of the UK, especially the UK, turned against her. She's experiencing some real incredible racist abuse from her side of town. And remember, she's Nigerian. But how welcome is she in Nigeria is the question. I'll tell you something, Queen. After I put up that monologue on my social media handle, the kinds of comments that I got about Kemi Badenoch, because I had ended it by saying, whenever you're done, you can come back home and we'll still accept you because we made you at the end of the day. Not very many people agreed with me. They said, no, don't come back home, or she should just be there, I beg. We don't want her, we don't identify with her again. So, do you now understand what that broken bridge means? And even if Nigeria is barren, we still don't want her.
Is that a
What's your take, though?
Or third mainland breed?
Is that third? Oh, come on. Come on.
To be fair, it's a good thing if you travel abroad, you grew up there, whatever, but I don't think there's anybody anywhere that wants to deny where they're from. Yes, a lot of people...
Except Badenoch.
Well, I'm happy for her. A lot of people might have gone through so many things, but when you become a leader, when you become a voice, you cannot deny where you're from, because the resilience, Nigerians are hard workers.
Aren't we?
We're smart, we're intelligent, we are special people. Not just Nigerians, there are different people across the world, but I'm saying that you cannot deny your roots.
Yeah.
Where you're from makes you you, whatever you went through, whatever you do,
exactly.
It is very disheartening for you to disown where you're from. It doesn't it doesn't change who you are. Everybody have good experiences and bad experiences from where they're from. It's like Nigerians will say, oh, my village people, but they're still thriving.
Exactly. And I think that that's the rhetoric that should have been pushed, that I came from such a system that I'm still who I am today, but I'm made out of that system, and that's what you see. The resilience, the outspokenness. This is a black woman who's making it in a world that doesn't like black women. But that's not what you get from her. Instead, it's, ooh, yuck, Nigeria, I'm British. Yet, the British don't want you.
Sorry.
Exactly, you know, so... I'm not going to overkill this one. She will have her wars to fight. She will, well, very ambitious lady.
One Nigerian, she can build her breed
Exactly.
back.
She's a Nigerian. She will find her way out of it. She will thrive eventually, and she will survive. That's what I'm going to say. I still love her tenacity. I love her outspokenness. I just do not enjoy most of her views, even if she claims that they are solidly founded. I still think a bit of empathy for people can go a very long way, especially as a woman. Empathy. Let's nurture, not destroy. Let's take a look at our next strip for this morning. Yes, the CDS Chief of Defense Staff came out last week to tell that Nigerians should try and defend themselves. Now, this is a very, very poignant kind of cartoon here by the Business Day. Asuko once again at his mastery. You see a picture of an amputee, double amputee, who's learning karate. And his wife in the background saying, despite losing limbs to murderous herdsmen, my husband is taking the defense chief's advice to Nigerians to learn combat skills seriously. We talked about this morning when we went through the dailies, the front pages. We noted that I think it was, I'm not sure if it was a CDS at this point, Christopher Musa, but it might have been one of the authorities who said, well, hey, we're going to encourage our locals to actually be able to defend themselves. But that's pushing the burden on the average Nigerian. That's pushing the burden on victims. That's asking the victims, hey, we can't do much. I think you guys better take care of yourself. But I go to polls to vote. I pay taxes. I feed the nation with my crop. And this is all the thanks I get. I'm a double amputee, and I still have to defend myself. It's a very sad situation, but with the position that Nigeria finds itself, its army drawn thin, you start to ask exactly how we can help these people in these parts of the country that are going through so much, because at the end of the day, we're all linked. We get our vegetables from the north, tomatoes, they're trucked all the way down. Even if no matter how much grievance you have against the herdsmen, do you know how your meat gets here? Have you ever wondered, do you think that we breed most of these cows here, Queen? I'll tell you, we don't. They are channeled through a specific route or numerous routes through the country, all the way from the north down here. So as they pass these stages, these states, that's where you get the conflict, where you have the farmer-herder conflict. But then, what can we do? How can we help this situation?
I'll tell you something. Please do. It's really heartbreaking. I've been blessed to go to different states in Nigeria, so I would say I'm a true Nigerian person. But anyways, I grew up in Jos.
Oh, nice.
I was in Jos for about a year plus, and I would tell you that the Northerners are one of the most amazing people ever. You know, where we were staying wasn't so far from the farms. Every morning when the farmers were passing by, they would stop by the house. Sanu, they would drop
that's nice.
vegetables. Sanu, sugar cane. Sanu, they just keep dropping. And I think there was a point my mother kept saying that all we needed to buy was just pepper because we had everything. So it's so heartbreaking.
Living off the earth. That's beautiful.
Yes, it's so heartbreaking to see that they get to go through this trauma of, you know, they're not sure if tonight their child will be killed or somebody will be kidnapped. And, you know, most of them are, you know, disabled or, you know, they're challenged. And it is sad.
If not physically, then economically.
Yes, and then there's a lot of trauma if you keep hearing that people are dying around you. Sometimes you just lose the hope to leave.
You should have heard the comments at the New Central Town Hall. I'm sure that you did.
Yes, I did.
Regarding some of the situations that people are finding themselves.
It is terrifying.
And it became evident to me at that town hall that a group of people are actually being stereotyped. And each time we say, and I've stopped saying Fulani herdsmen, I just say herdsmen now, because when you say Fulani herdsmen, you're stereotyping the Fulani people. And the greater number of them are the ones that suffer because you're tarnishing their image.
Yeah.
So I'm imploring that people actually just use the word herdsmen, not Fulani herdsmen anymore, because that's a bit of a tarnish.
Yeah, but I feel like our, you know, they need to put more security. Although, of course, the security people are scared because they don't want to die for nothing.
Queen, is the CDS that said this, so the Chief of Defense Staff himself that said this? You know that, yeah?
We need to just train more people.
If he's saying, what can I do? What can I do? You get me. We've got more strip. Let's see what else we have this morning. Grand. Look, they're finally back in school. As students or as teachers, Governor Sani recalls Kaduna's teachers sacked by El Rufai. 2022, Governor El Rufai made an exam open for teachers of Kaduna State. And guess how many teachers actually passed that exam? Less than 500. About 300 if I'm not mistaken. Now, the exam was set for 2,300 teachers. I think about 2,100 of them, so that's less than 200, 2,100 of them either failed or did not show up for the exam. El Rufai left office and Sani took office, and in 2023, there were measures being made to actually recall these teachers. Now, there has been a recall, and they're now back, and many questions are arising. They're back. Did they fail the exams? Some of them did. For those of them that failed the exams, exactly what are they coming to come and teach? If you can't pass your exam as a teacher, then who or what exactly are you going to be impacting on the students that you're here to teach? That's one question. The other question is, why is the governor, the current governor, Obasanjo, actually recalling these teachers? Well, he is not, and that's what needs to be made clear. He's not responsible for the recall. The recall was actually made at the end of El Rufai's administration to try and bring back some of those teachers who thought that, well, they didn't write the exams for certain reasons. Some of them claimed to have been kidnapped during the time that the exams were being written. Some of them claimed that they didn't hear about it. Some of them claimed that they were sick. So it's a continuous process from the El Rufai instance that seems to have crossed over into Obasanjo's administration. So it's not the current governor that is recalling these teachers, but it's that process from El Rufai's time that's making them come back. Questions are still there. How legitimate are they? How competent are these teachers? And how does that affect education and onwards? I don't know. If you look at it, Queen, the greater picture here when it comes to Nigeria and education, if you want to take the JAM and WAEC instance, would be that we're dumbing down our education just so that we can get the future going. But at what cost is the question?
The thing is, this education situation has been going on and on, like the strike, this, that. And we're so good at creating committees that are not doing anything. Yeah. So there's a committee, and now the teachers are saying they're not aware, they're sick. So how do they get to a point where the reforms that they want and the change that they want actually happen if the teachers who want good salaries and stuff are not showing up, and if they're not passing the exams?
If they're not competent.
Who do you want to teach?
I'll tell you something about the word committee that you just spoke about. Let's rephrase it. Let's restructure it. It's come eat ye, come eat ye. Get it?
Okay.
Somebody just put it together just so that everybody else can chop. Committee. All right. While we're still playing around the strips, let's just be comical anyway. We've got our final one for today. Hey, is that it? Good. Still that Daddy and Mommy. It's from Daily Trust. Love it. It's Abulama, who's the artist. Dad, did you read about the Abuja-Kaduna train accident? Yes, apparently in 2023 they budgeted 30 billion naira for surveillance, yet the tracks remain unseen by those in charge. Let me explain. Last week, derailment Abuja-Kaduna, the train, and it was a very bad picture. You might have seen it in the papers. What exactly happened? There has been a committee that has been set to investigate exactly what had happened. But preliminarily, they say that it was the weather. It was rain, it was erosion, it might have been washed out. But I'll take you back to 2022, or is it 2023? I'm not sure now. I'll clarify on that. I'll confirm on that. But at that time, when there was a derailment, it was because the tracks were vandalized. So we can't absolutely say currently whether they have or have not been vandalized, and that's the cause of the derailment that we saw last week. However, whatever happened to this sum for surveillance, whatever happened to the surveillance that this sum was supposed to cater for, are we saying that these tracks are still yet unsurveilled? Are we saying that that money is gone? Because you need to monitor these tracks. Imagine the lives that could have been lost. I think about 12 people were injured. There were no casualties, however. But to be put in such a situation, for the people who go through that, the trauma that they have to experience, and it was not a small accident. I'm sure you saw the pictures, didn't you, Queen?
I don't like such pictures.
I know.
It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Really devastating that the citizens have to go through this, and then you come, and it's so easy for them to say, oh, we have a budget for this, and they just throw the budget, and when it's graciously approved, poof.
It's out. It's gone. We don't know where it goes.
Then we get a committee. Come it is.
I just thought you knew word, yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking indeed. That's all the strips we have for today. I want to say thank you very much to our producer, Collins, who actually sources them out and makes sure that we go through them early in time enough for us to give you a very interesting take on each of them. Queen, your best segment of the show is over, but we still got more conversation now, don't we? So to the viewers, do stay tuned. We're still monitoring the results as they come in from the local government elections for Rivers State, and we'll be bringing you more of our correspondence inside of Rivers State, so do stay tuned. And you're welcome back, and it's time for the news headlines this morning. My name is Mazino Appeal. We begin with politics. Our local government elections in Rivers State have concluded across 23 LGAs, 319 wards, and thousands of polling units as organized by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission on Saturday. The elections follows the Supreme Court nullification of the October 2024 local government polls due to Electoral Act violations. Results are currently being collated and are expected to be announced soon. The peaceful conduct of the election is seen as a positive step towards restoring democratic governance at the grassroots level in Rivers State. News Central's Victor Mbadike here has more.
Voting commenced around late morning between 10:30 and 11:30 in many polling units across the local government areas. While security was tight and generally effective, turnout was visibly low, with many residents choosing to stay home. Markets and major roads, however, remained surprisingly active throughout the voting period. Some voters were optimistic about the process, while others expressed disappointment about the exercise.
The voting went well. Security, we have our security men on ground. Everybody's happy. Everybody has come out to cast their franchise. And I think it's a serene atmosphere. I think it has gone well.
The election, this time, the crowd, the persons, all the voters came out.
no issue, no fighting, no argument. Everything went peaceful.
We have not seen an election like this. This is our first time experiencing something like this. There's a very peace in the Republic local government. We are all happy for what Rivers State government have done for us, for what the leader of the Okoro Kingdom, Honorable Mike Igoloma, have done for us in the Okoro Kingdom, in the Okoro government.
It's my own responsibility to vote. I'm a Nigerian. I have to vote someone that I like.
We observe that we do not have the election result sheet, which is meant to be given to us by the government. Right. We did not have it. This is what is being given us. We are given a piece of paper. We are given a piece of paper. This is the result sheet which I have in my hands, which was given to us by government. So I do not understand if the federal government are aware of this, or probably it's a private individual who decided to use this as an opportunity for them to stabilize the election and behave the way they want to behave. We are not happy in order to rig the election in their favor. We are not happy. Personally, I, as the APP candidate, I am not happy in this respect. Even in one of the units, my people told me that some group of young men, hooligans, came there and took the ballot boxes. As I speak to you, the ballot boxes have not been found up to this moment.
The Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, who also cast his ballot, expressed confidence that normalcy would not return to the state.
First of all, if elections are conducted, you know that Supreme Court has said there's nothing like caretaker committees in local government, and if there are no elected people, it means that funds will not come from the federation account to local government councils. And that means that if the emergency rule is lifted and there's no local government election, we'll still have the same problem. And now that local government election is taking place, it means that the elected people, then they will get funds directly from the federation account. So everybody must stand in to support the conduct of this particular election in order to stabilize the grassroots level.
As at the time of filing this report, sorting and counting had already begun. The Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission says winners will be announced shortly. For News Central, Victor Badeke.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress has been declared the winner of the Thai local government election. Chairmanship returning officer Muelubari Ban, while announcing the results, said the APC had 70,080 votes, while the People's Democratic Party polled 1,245 votes.
And 8 votes. APC, 70,080 votes. PDP, 1,245 votes. PROP, 532 votes. Total valid votes for the LGA for today's election stands at 72,770 votes, with a total of 326 votes as rejected votes, bringing us to total vote cast for this election as 73,096 votes, which is in agreement with the total number of votes of 73,096 persons that were accredited. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, my business is done. The rest will be to the Commission. Thank you for being here.
Now, reactions have continued to trail the decision of the People's Democratic Party to zone the 2027 presidential tickets to the southern part of the country. Analysts say that the move could calm tensions, appease aggrieved factions, and also shape the party's future, but it may also open fresh debates within the party. Our correspondent Sumaya Abubakar here reports following the developments. We will bring you that report subsequently. For now, let's go on a break, and that would be the end for the headlines here on Breakfast Extra. We'll be back.
Welcome back. 2 days ago, the Nigerian Bar Association officially opened its 2025 Annual General Conference in Enugu under the theme Stand Out, Stand Tall. Over 20,000 lawyers and dignitaries, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo and keynote speaker Julius Malema, converged at the Enugu International Conference Center in a powerful gesture of legal solidarity and national introspection. Opening remarks by NBA President Mazi Afam Osigwe-San challenged legal practitioners to uphold justice in tumultuous times, while the locals' robust infrastructure, courtesy of Governor Peter Mbaz's administration, offered a warm, efficient venue for meaningful dialogue.
So throughout the event, keynote sessions embraced both national urgency and Pan-African vision. South African activist Julius Malema called for unity, advocating a shared currency, borderless mobility, and also industrial self-reliance. His message resonated amid Nigeria's economic strains, igniting discussions on systemic reform, economic justice, and continental emancipation. New Central's Austin Azu was also on ground, and he will also be joining us today for this conversation, which we will be having. But first, let's welcome our distinguished guest, Desmond Oriziweze. He's a seasoned legal practitioner and also government policy strategist. Thank you very much for joining us, Desmond, and thank you very much for also joining us again, Austin Azu. So Desmond, I'm going to be starting with you. First off, let's ask what the significance of the conference that was held only last week was, and then we'll carry on from there, Desmond.
Okay, yes. So the Nigerian Bar Association's General Conference is a well sought after conference. It's one which not just every lawyer look up to every year, annually. Then the whole society look up to the conference, what is going to come out from the conference. So it's very strategic. So governments, individuals, and the society at large, they look up to it. So, and what happened at the last NBA Annual General Conference is a masterpiece. So we're able to get several speakers from diverse settings, those within and outside the country, and they've been able to do justice to the various topics which they were assigned to do. So I think most reviews after the NBA conference was quite positive, and I think the takeaways from that conference will really help us in charting a new course nationally.
Okay. So that course you're talking about is being championed by advocacy, is being championed by looking at the economy from the legal aspect. But how exactly is this going to happen? What mechanism is going to be put in place after this conference?
Okay, so just like during the conference, Chief Michael Zekome, SAN, was speaking, and while addressing the representative of the Inspector General of Police, he said, you know, we need to evolve our security process in such a way that there is a distinction between government security and national security. Because in recent times, when we see arrest upon arrest of activists and, you know, trying to stop protests and stuff. So the point he's trying to make is the Inspector General of Police should have a second look, because there's a difference between national security and government security. So what it appears the government is trying to protect is the government security and not necessarily national security. So I believe that these points were duly noted by the top officials of both the police and the DSS that were present at the conference, and they will escalate that further so that we are able to, we are trying to promote people to pursue advocacy without fear or favor or without intimidation, and government trying to micromanage the whole process. So I believe once that is taken out from the conference and duly implemented by these agencies as they you know appear to acknowledge, then I believe it will be a plus for our country.
All right.
So, Austin, you were present at the NBA conference in Enugu. Can you tell us at the moment or the remarks that have stirred the most reactions among, the attendees, especially regarding Nigeria's economy trajectory?
Okay, so...
Well, that question is for Austin, Desmond. Just a second. That question was for Austin.
On the NBA conference.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Zeno, should I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead. Please.
Okay, fine. The NBA conference is a legal pilgrimage for all lawyers across the country and beyond. And on the opening ceremony, it was like a carnival and it was like a reunion. And however, when the Sultan of Sokoto mounted the stage, he spoke on a wide range of issues relating what is affecting us as a country and what lawyers need to do to make them stand out and stand tall. And the icing of the cake was when the guest speaker, Julius Malema, the economic experts, the president of economic experts in South Africa, came and gave his lecture talking about the need for Africans to come together, the need for them to pursue one particular purpose, and the need for them to have one single currency that would drive the economy of Africa. And of course, most striking aspect of it is how we'll be able to use our own resources to develop our own continent. In short, it was like something of reminder of what some of our founding fathers fought for, talking about independence. He actually paid more tribute to Nigeria government for what they did for South Africa in 1975, 1970, 1980, during the, their trying times and so on and so forth. It was a reminder that, yes, Nigeria have been playing a big brother role to Africa countries, and which most of the Africa countries are not taking for granted. And however, it's equally a reminder for us as Nigerians, for us to look back and look forward to see how possible we can improve our own economy, because from what the conference seeks to address during their breakout sessions, during their plenary, they talked about the economy as well. How best Nigerians can advance, particularly how best our leaders can advance our economy to better the lot of all Nigerians. You quite agree with me that Nigerians, at this point in time, are, living from hand to mouth in terms of the struggling and the challenges with, confronting every Nigeria. And the poverty rate has increased, and a lot of hunger, pervasive hunger in the land. So these are the issues that we actually discussed by lawyers at their plenary session that needed to be, looked into by the relevant authorities to advance our economy. And beyond that as well, what actually played out is like there was a lot of economic activities in Enugu during the long stay of during the long week of the event. Over 20,000 lawyers coming to a city. In short, one would actually describe it to be, a heavy gathering of great minds coming together, and that will then, in one way or the other, shake the foundation of the state. Getting accommodation was quite a Herculean task, and because most of the accommodations in Enugu, we are fully booked. And not only that, because of transportation too, it created a lot of economic activity. It boosted the economic activity of Enugu. What about the food vendors, and what about others who actually came to do one or two businesses? So it was something that one will look forward to. Any state will look forward to host them, because in that large numbers, there's a lot of economic activities booming during their stay.
All right. Desmond, I'm going to come back to you now. I'm very interested in the choice of Julius Malema as a guest speaker.
Yeah.
I'm wondering exactly why he was a choice for the role of guest speaker. More than that, I also wanted to note most of what he was talking about at the conference. He talked about a united Africa. He talked about a common currency. He talked about emancipating Africa. But we've heard this before, and we've seen the international response to what we got when it was Gaddafi. So what do you think this call might bring? What kind of attention do you think this kind of a call might bring from somebody the sort of Julius Malema? Desmond, that's for you.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So the choice of Julius Malema, I think that's up to the conference planning committee, but I think it's a very strategic one being that he's a very notable international figure in rights and political activism. And what he brought to the NBA conference is very instructive. Now, we Africans must begin to look internally if we must grow. The issue of single currency and more for Africans to do business with each other and form better alliances to improve the standing of the African continent in the global stage cannot be overemphasized. So beyond just the advocacy and the activism which he portrays as a person, in his country, but he has continued to highlight the unity. And one of the major challenges we face in Africa is we do business with every other person aside ourselves, and that is why we are where we are, as a continent. So we prefer to trade with the West, we prefer to trade with the Asian continent and every other place, but rather than ourselves. If you look at the visa issues we have, sometimes it's more difficult to travel within Africa than to travel to many places outside of the African continent. Just to get visa to a country in Africa, it can take you, it's between 6 months, 1 year just to get visa. So how can we integrate? How can we build better bond? And I think that's been the highlight of his message. We have the African, the African Free Trade Agreement.
But you see, Desmond,
yeah.
The reason why I asked that question is because while Malema was speaking, actually, they sounded like it was a replay of a tape. And it was a Gaddafi tape because Gaddafi asked for the very same thing. But that didn't work well, especially from the outside community. Now, what can we, as Nigerians, as other African countries, do to make sure that it's not a retell of the story from what we saw in Libya? War crimes aside, we've seen the reaction from the international community. You get visa restrictions, you get these little reforms that work against that dream, that collective dream. So was there any talk on what must be done before we can have this shared dream at the NBA conference?
Okay, I think to implement what he has said, because what he has said is not new, just like you highlighted. But to bring that to action, it is still within the remit of African heads of states, because they are the high-level officials to implement this. The integration of the African market has been included in the AFTA, or contained in the AFTA, and that's what the AFTA even provides for. So what he said is not new. It still boils down to these respective countries to come together. So it's not just attending meetings or meetings without any outcome. Because we've been having African head of state going to attend the ECOWAS African Union meeting, and there's been no progress either in ECOWAS or in African Union. So I think this is another call to action by an international figure of that repute to say, okay, listen, it's a reminder to African heads of states that we must walk the talk. If we must grow the African continent, we must begin to take that step right now. And I believe that that is the message that he is passing through that. And that includes the single currency, the simplification of visa process, or even eradication completely, and to ensure that we can boost economic trade between each other, so that Africa on its own can have some form of economic security in the face of maybe Western sanctions or external interference. If there is a sanction on any country in Africa, it becomes a problem because we don't trade with each other. So I think we must begin to look at these things, and it's a reminder, but it still boils down to government to implement.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Desmond and Austin, for giving us the update and giving us the feedback of what happened at the NBA conference.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now we'll be moving straight on into our next conversation here, which is not too far removed from what we've been talking about with Austin and Desmond. We're talking about the U.S. visa crisis in just about a bit.
Yes.
Well, let's go on a very short break so that we can organize our conversation for when we come back. Let's talk about a borderless Africa, which seems to be the theme for this hour. Africa's bold vision of seamless continental travel is gaining steam. Now, the African Union and the African Development Bank are calling on member states to accelerate visa liberalization, recognizing that restrictive visa requirements undermine the continent's economic integration and also mobility ambitions. Now, situating this within broader policy frameworks like Agenda 2063 and the African Continental Free Trade Area, they stress that true unity requires removing bureaucratic barriers among African nations. The push is being propelled by dynamic grassroots movements. The Trans-African Tourism and Unity Campaign, spearheaded by Ghanaian politician and also activist Ras Mubarak, launched a historic Trans-African road trip from Accra to 39 nations. The 163-day journey, covering tens of thousands of kilometers, aims to rally public and also political support for a truly visa-free Africa by 2030.
And regional leaders and institutions are urging visa-free travel across Africa as an essential step towards economic and social integration. Meanwhile, TATUC's pioneering road campaign is bringing this idea directly to the people, turning policy ambition into public momentum.
So we're joined by Honorable Ras Mubarak. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I hope you can hear us. Grand, there you are. Honorable, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Oh, grand. We're going to work on that. Thank you very much. Mr. Mubarak, could you please give us an idea of what a borderless Africa could seem like? What are the economic advantages? What are the relationship advantages between countries? What are we looking at if this was to come to fruition? Honorable Mubarak, I'm hoping you heard us. Oh, I think that we have a case of bad network here. But this story is rightly placed right after the one that we just had now, where we spoke with Desmond from earlier about the NBA conference from over the week and Malema's call for a united Africa. My suspicion is this, that if we have an Africa that has one united currency, especially that currency, we will begin to rival other first world countries. Right. I hate the word third world, by the way. Not very happy, but I'm looking at a situation where Africa becomes not just a continent, but a united country itself, and that can rival other nations. I'm being told that we have the Honorable back with us. Ras Mubarak is joining us back to have this conversation about a borderless Africa. Honorable, I hope you heard my question from before. I'm going to repeat it, but I was asking what exactly a borderless Africa would look like in terms of the economy and inter-country relationship.
Well, you're talking about loads of jobs for our young men and women. You're talking about our people being able to move from one point to the other. A borderless Africa undoubtedly would spur growth. You know, it would create sustainable jobs. It would promote cultural tourism amongst our people. And it would promote harmony amongst our people. We were not consulted, you know, when this whole division of Africa was done in the 1800s, you know, but time must come, you know, for us to be able to do that immediately. And we are of the view that, you know, a borderless Africa can happen in the next 5 years instead of the 40-year plan that the African Union has. Because truth be told, 40 years is a long time from now, it's a generation from now. And the young people in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in Egypt, in Ghana, and elsewhere on the African continent do not have 40 years. You know, they are looking for opportunities, you know, and so it's become crucial that we get our governments to buy into this and ensure that, you know, the borders are taken down so that Africans can move freely without hindrance. I'll give you a typical example. We were supposed to be in Cameroon on Wednesday. We got to the Ekok, you know, side of the border where Cameroon shares a border with Nigeria, only for our Cameroonian brothers to tell us that they do not recognize or accept e-visas at the land borders. Now, you know what that meant? It meant that we had to drive 10 hours back to Calabar to get visas into our passports and drive back to the border before we could cross. Lost time, resources, etc. You know, and so this is the reality of the African wanting to move from one part of the continent to the other. And we are hoping that our leaders would listen to us. You know, we're hoping that they would see the urgent need to tear down the borders and make it easier for African nationals to be able to move seamlessly, you know, within the continent of Africa.
So, Honorable Raz, like you mentioned, you're campaigning through, you know, an epic road journey, Calabar to Cotonou and moving on. What do you hope this symbolic act will achieve that speeches alone cannot?
So, as you may be aware, we are non-state actors. Clearly, the state actors are not moving fast enough. I mean, if the AU can set a target of 2063, 40 years from now, it tells you how out of touch the African Union is. So we want a situation where leaders would, you know, make commitments to having this happen within the shortest possible time, hopefully in the next 5 years, you know, so that our people can access education, so they can access opportunity, you know, so we can trade more amongst ourselves and explore each other's, you know, cultures. Recently, when we were in Abuja, for instance, we had, you know, masa with alefu soup. Now in Ghana, masa is taken with porridge in the morning or, you know, early afternoon. Something new we learned in Nigeria. We also saw in Calabar how lush and beautiful and green Calabar is. You know, that is because as West African nationals, it's easier for us to come into Cameroon. So Africa has a lot to showcase to the world. And we need to promote intra-African trade, intra-African travels to be able to create the necessary jobs for our people. And speaking of trade, look, all the continents of the world are thinking about themselves and looking inwardly. And I've said it time and again that Nigeria is big, the big brother of West Africa. Nigeria can decide to carve a niche for itself and supply for the rest of Africa, you know, a certain commodity that would lead to job generation. Take Morocco, for instance. Morocco is the biggest producer of fertilizer on the continent of Africa. Africans have no business bringing in fertilizer from Ukraine and Eastern Europe and South America. We're not saying we don't want to trade with the rest of the world, but we want to take care of our own first. Europe is thinking Europe first. America is thinking America first. We've got to think about the well-being and the interest of our people. And the more we trade amongst ourselves, the better, you know, for our people.
It's a very interesting take, and I'm very happy that you experienced, well, unfortunate though, but I'm happy that you experienced a bit about Calabar and the crossing into Cameroon. In fact, when you spoke about Calabar, Queen here was very excited because she's from that part of the country. However, Mubarak, now let's talk about this true borderless Africa. Your experience at the border is one that I want to bring into note here, where you find that Africa is not only divided into states or countries, it's also divided into regions. You have West Africa, North Africa, Central Africa, and also Southern Africa. However, within these regions, you still find that while we have a West African Union, we have internal policies that really prohibit us from actually access into other countries or even trade. Nigeria, Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana. It's very difficult to get through. It's only 400 kilometers between here and Ghana. And the last time I tried through the land borders, it took me an entire 24 hours to get there because of the little policies that these countries have themselves, even if we are a West African bloc. Within that West African bloc, you still have other disadvantages, and that's the language. Between us here and you there in Ghana, there's the French-speaking Benin Republic and also the Togolese. So with all these different climes and these different, I don't want to call them challenges, but issues, are we sure that we're going to be able to create a truly borderless Africa when we start to talk about these interactions across regions? For instance, West Africa, Central Africa, you spoke about your entry into Cameroon and how difficult that was. So what must we do first off to bring down these borders before we can truly say we are ready for a borderless Africa?
Good question. You know, the African has been programmed to hate his fellow African. And so when nationals from Nigeria are going into another African country, they are looked at with suspicion. When Ghanaians are going into North Africa, they are looked at with suspicion. As Africans, we need to, erase this programming of our minds, a programming of our minds that has pitched us against each other. We're one people. As a matter of fact, you look at, Dahomey Republic, the Kingdom of Dahomey, which encompassed, parts of Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, etc. You go into Togo or Benin, same language, same names. You come into, Nigeria, northern Nigeria, I don't see any difference, amongst us really and truly. I see a Nigerian, I see my fellow African brother. So Africans need to erase the notion that an African coming into your country is coming to commit crime. The second thing we need to do is to train and retrain border patrol officers. There's some very professional border patrol officers, but a lot of them are utterly rubbish. They are unprofessional. They are there to extort money from travelers who are seeking to genuinely go and do business or to go on a holiday. And so governments would have to make a serious commitment to train and retrain border patrol officers and then give them the necessary tools to work with. To think that a country accepts e-visas only at the airports and not, at the land borders is actually mind-boggling. But that is a challenge that we are faced with. But I also need to address the point you raised about language. Language should not keep us apart. Take Nigeria. How many languages? I've lost count.
250 plus.
A big country, yet you're able to live pretty much in harmony. So you extend it to the bigger, picture. Take Africa. Lots of languages. You look at the European model, there are people who speak Bulgarian, people who speak Swiss, people who speak French, Belgian, Dutch, etc. Yet they're able to coalesce and work together, for the best interest of Europe. And so we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to look at, models that have gone on elsewhere, where they've had challenges and perfect our own system in a manner, that put our people, first and in a manner that prospers our people. And that is why we have decided to embark on this arduous journey. Nobody really wants to do 40,000 kilometers in 163 days by road. You need to have a certain commitment to the continent of Africa. And we're doing this because largely we believe that Africa is a place to be. Africa has what it takes, to build our own infrastructure, to grow our economies, to create the necessary jobs, for the teeming youth within the continent of Africa. And so if we get the building blocks in place, if the AU stops looking at 2063 and we narrow it down to, say, 5 years or even maximum 7 years, I think it will be better for the good people of, our continent. And let me make this point, that Africa's time is now. Leaders in Africa who act now would be remembered positively in history, and history would be kind to them. Leaders who drag their feet, who get in the way of a united Africa where our people can travel freely, where we can have one passport, where we can have one currency, those leaders would not be remembered kindly, when their history is written. And I hope that our leaders on the continent of Africa, would want, to leave a lasting legacy for themselves. Mm-hmm. And they would want to have a rethink, about the urgent need to create a borderless Africa for our people. Because bottom line, if the young people of Africa cannot get jobs, they would want to go into Europe and North America through, crazy means, and others would resort to crime. It is the lack of sustainable jobs that is creating crimes, all over the place. And we need to be able to deal with it positively.
All right, then.
Finally, to address this question, look, no country is perfect. No nation is perfect. But as Africans, we need to strive for perfection. If you go to the United States of America, they've got homelessness issues, they've got drugs issues. You land in Toronto and the place is filled with junkies, etc. So no nation is perfect. And we're not saying we want a perfect Africa, but let's strive for a better Africa where our people can live at least a decent life, where they don't have to, go through the desert or through the Amazon to get a better life for themselves.
Okay, Honorable Ras, thank you for that, answering that so beautifully. But we know that we have about 4 countries currently offering full visa-free access. That's Benin, Rwanda, the Gambia, and Seychelles. What strategies can convince more states to follow suit?
It's a question for the leaders to answer, and it's a choice between high crimes in your country because the youth can't get opportunities and jobs, and creating something or signing up to something, that expands opportunities for your nationals. It's a choice between expanding your tourism revenue. Look, Africa makes $1.9 billion from, tourism annually. This figure can be quadrupled if we get if we put our acts together, and get things right, And so there's more revenue from tourism to create, to build the roads, to build the infrastructure for our people, to build the hospitals, etc. And I believe that we have written letters to all the excellencies in the countries that we're visiting. And beyond these letters that we are presenting to leaders of countries, we want to submit a report to the regional blocs, that is the AU, the ECOWAS, SADC, EAC, and the rest of them, and all the leaders of Africa after our tour, just to let them know what we have gathered, traversing through 39 countries within Africa, and what needs to be done urgently for the benefit of our people. And it's a passionate appeal to these leaders. And I do hope that they would listen.
Okay. Honorable Mubarak, my final question, I'm sure Queen has one more, but this might be my last one. What about the AES, the Alliance of the Sahel States? These are military-led states, only just recently, Mali, Burkina Faso, and I think Niger. How do you suggest that you or that we overcome that challenge when it comes to democratically led African states and also these military-led states? What would you suggest as a way of, relationship? Let's put it that way.
We've got to build more rapprochement. We've got to engage more, and we plan to, visit Burkina Faso, to visit Niger, to visit the Central African Republic and Chad, and to engage leaders there, and also to engage civil society in the media, and to try in our best way to convince them, to allow for a borderless, Africa from their countries, so that our people can prosper. The prosperity of Africa is hinged on their acceptance for us to do this. And I believe they are well-meaning Africans who want the best for their people. And I have no doubt in my mind that their intentions are good, and they would sign up or listen to us.
Well, I'm wondering whether this is going to be possible because of the relationship that these democratic countries actually have with countries that the Sahel states might not find friendly. So that in itself brings you a very different kind of challenge, because these alliances might not work well in these processes, in this utopian process that you are calling for. So that's why the question is very critical from me.
I'm going to be brutally frank.
Go ahead.
All the regional blocs have let us down. I mean, I'll give you a typical example. Morocco has had issues with Algeria since 1992 or 1994. You can't access Morocco from Algeria or Algeria from Morocco by land borders. The AU has not been able to solve this, and it's quite tragic. I know there are border issues between between Nigeria and Cameroon. It's lingered on forever. There are issues within Cameroon between the Anglophone side and the Francophone side. These are issues that need to be dealt with head on. Engagements need to happen, and I'd call I'll call on the leaders to actually sit up and get the right things done. Because the livelihood of our people within Africa is hinged on us getting the right things done. The alternative is not pretty. The alternative is not good for the continent of Africa, and for a continent that is as blessed as ours. We have no, what you call it, we have no we have no we have no choice than to get it right for our people. Inaction is not an option.
So, Honorable Raz, we say that, decades ago we had the people like Gaddafi and Thomas Sankara made the same call. What do you think went wrong in their own quest? So what do you think will be different from then and now?
So this is a grassroots movement. And as Queen, and viewers would know very much, anything organized or mobilized from within, from the masses, always tend to do very well. In the past, the approach has been engage African leaders and let them get it done. But of course, you know that, African leaders come and go because we haven't built institutions properly within the continent. If the leader is out of power, the next administration doesn't want to carry on the blueprint that has been left. But I think if we see this and rally around this, as a mass movement for the liberation of Africa, for the empowerment of our people, this is something that every leader, whether in opposition or in government, would want to sign up onto. And whether it's 5 years or 10 years from now, irrespective of who is in power, we need to make sure that everyone is, adhering to what we have all agreed to do, which is to have a borderless Africa where our people prosper. And let me use this opportunity to clarify the point about security concerns, because I know this is something that keeps coming up, and some countries within Africa are unwilling to make this happen because they have security concerns. I say to these African leaders that let's use technology, let's use intelligence sharing, to address those security concerns. And we cannot hide behind security concerns to deprive our people from opportunities, to deprive Africans from accessing our respective countries. The opportunities, the benefits, that come with people coming into your country. I mean, the tourism revenue, hotels, vehicles, food, souvenirs, you name it, is enormous. People coming to learn about cultures, etc. The benefits far outweigh, these security concerns that, there is. And we are in 2025. And so we should not behave as if this were the black and white era where you don't have access to, information and technology. We can address those security concerns if there's a political will. And Benin Republic is a typical example. Nigerians have not flooded Benin. Nigerians have not flooded Ghana. Neither have Ghanaians taken over Nigeria. The notion that if we allow a borderless Africa, some big country is going to come and swallow us, is just excuses and lame excuses. Benin Republic is doing very well for themselves, all right? And in spite of this, they haven't been overtaken by their big brothers. And so we need to look at the opportunities that are inherent in a borderless Africa, than the challenges. And those challenges are human that can be surmounted. I mean, we drove through the southern part of Nigeria, which has been touted as some of the unsafe parts of the country. I say that, look, I don't see why Nigeria can't create enabling security to boost tourism within Nigeria.
Do you think along with this should be a unified currency?
It's not just a unified currency, but one passport for all of us. Because we are in Central Africa now. We have to change money into Central African currency. We were in Nigeria last week. We're spending Naira. All of these things distort trade. It makes trade and business very, very difficult. It makes, attracting business onto the continent very difficult. So ultimately, this is what a borderless Africa should result in. This is what a visa-free Africa should result in, where we have one currency, where we have one passport, and in a long term, where we even decide that, look, we should even have 1 or 2 or 3 or maximum 5 African languages as our official languages, because ultimately, we've got to shed the vestiges of colonization. We should be able to speak in our own languages. We should be able to communicate in a language that our kids understand. I don't see why children who go to school should be beaten for not speaking English. I don't see why they should be beaten, for not speaking French. When you go to France, they don't speak our languages. When you go to China, they speak Mandarin, etc.
And
So
what
why
language would
are we
that
not
be?
shedding of
Honorable Mubarak, what language would that be? And this is where the wahala starts.
So if we sit at the table and look at the bigger picture and think about what would you rather have? You know, a colonizer's language or an African language? I want an African language because the colonizer doesn't mean well for me. And I say this without apology. Look at what they did to Lumumba. Up till date, no sincere apology for the murder of Lumumba. No apology for the coup d'etat in Ghana. Look at what they did to Sankara. And every now and then, look at what they even did most recently to Gaddafi, that a sovereign African country can be invaded, that Europe can decide that, you know, Libya would be a no-fly zone, and then they would literally destroy a country for their selfish interests. And as Africans, we put up with this. I don't hate Europeans or North Americans. What I want is the best interest of my people.
Indeed.
And the best interest of my people is for us to be able to trade more amongst ourselves, to speak our language. I mean, look at Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa or all the beautiful languages in Nigeria. Or Epic. Or Gra, or, you know, Efe.
Oh, there we are highlighting the challenge.
And he pronounced it so
there we are highlighting the challenges with all the languages we're bringing up now that it could be. But Honorable, we want to say thank you.
No, but the thing is, there's a working language. So we're not saying everybody else should, you know, stop using their language.
Yeah.
If you go to the European Union, they have a working language.
Yes, indeed.
Which is French, you know, English and
indeed.
I think German and Dutch.
True.
Africa can decide on a working language.
Honorable,
Arabic,
Honorable, we've had a very interesting conversation with you. Unfortunately, we're almost hitting the top of the hour, so we have to go. But it is a truly African vision, and I'm sure that it will be a very prosperous one for all African nations if we just put our heads and hands together. I want to say thank you very much for joining us to have this conversation inside of Focus Africa. Thank you very much, Honorable Ras Mubarak.
Thank you, Honorable Ras.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Indeed. And that's how we end the show today, or this weekend. I'd like to say, it's very, very interesting so far. Hang on a second. Oh, wow. This is a very interesting take because I've just been told that we're extending the show. That smile in your face is not original. Let's take a break so that we are absolutely sure on how we're going forward. And we'll be right back. Let's do a break.
Welcome back to Breakfast Extra. And of course, this is another big story. We're talking Wellness Central. We shine a spotlight on a critical yet often overlooked issue, contraceptive risk, explored in the recent study. Contraceptive risk even among family planning specialists. Even among highly trained family planning specialists, the study reveals that 69% experienced at least one contraceptive risk event.
So to help us navigate the Nigerian dimensions of this issue and consider practical ways forward, we're being joined by Dr. Owen Omojo, founder, HIGC Health Consultants and distinguished fertility doctor, whose work spans, well, across all the areas that we're about to talk about today. Dr. Ojo, you're welcome. Omojo, rather. Dr. Omojo, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Hi, Mazino. And
hello.
Hi.
This is Queen.
Look-alike.
Here you are again with the humorous aura. Thank you very much for joining us. But how do the findings that even experts, clinicians, let me use that word, are not immune to risk events? Explain to us what these risks are when it comes to contraceptives that people are scared of, or the myths that they might have heard about.
Thank you very much, Mazino. I'm sorry I didn't get your co-host's name.
Queen.
My apologies, Queen.
Yes.
Hi, Queen.
Hello.
Thank you very much for having me. First, I'm not a fertility specialist.
Okay.
So let me just put out that disclaimer. I am a public health professional, and of course, you know, I run a public health social enterprise. But down to it, I think before we get to your question, let's even define what contraceptive is, or what contraception is, and birth control. So these are methods and practices that women use to prevent pregnancy, or these are practices and methods that are used generally to prevent pregnancy, because contraceptives are not only used by women. Men also have their own method of contraception. So for example, sterilization, through vasectomy and all that, but we'll get to that. And I also want to highlight that contraceptives can be temporary, they can be reversible, they can be irreversible, permanent or irreversible, right? So we'll get to that. In terms of risk events, again, what is to note is that contraception is not perfect. No method is 100% foolproof. And so even the most experienced clinicians can have risk events, right? And what is important is to emphasize consistent, correct use, and choosing the method that best suits a person. And the best way to do this is by, one, taking very detailed medical history from the woman who is seeking to get contraception. It is very, very important to take detailed medical history, and of course understand the lifestyle choices or patterns of the woman, so that you can find the one that is the best fit for the individual. Again, I want to reiterate that no method is 100% foolproof. And so I'd say the takeaway for this would be that contraceptives remain highly reliable, and especially when paired with follow-up and counseling. Counseling is very, very important. So, yeah.
So, Doctor, a lot of people complain about side effects like irregular menstruation, weight gain, and all that. That is mostly their concern. How can healthcare providers proactively manage these fears and support more sustainable method use?
Okay, so side effects are a real risk. And with the side effects also comes the myths, and so it's, again, counseling is very, very important.
Right.
Letting the woman know upfront that these are the possible side effects that you can expect, right? So weight gain, breast tenderness, breast heaviness, spotting in between periods, heavier flow, lighter flows as well. These are some of the side effects. Vaginal dryness, mood swings, things like that. And so counseling is very important, letting the woman understand that these side effects are common or can be experienced, but they're very well manageable, and they're reversible as well. They would eventually go away with time. But again, also finding the best fit for the woman. And so being open to changing the method, right? Or I would even say having trial periods. So rather than immediately going the long haul, have trial periods of, say, a few months to see how the woman tolerates, how her body tolerates the type of contraceptive. I mean, even with condom use, there is latex sensitivity, latex, allergies and all of that. And so proper counseling, letting the woman understand the possible side effects and helping her to make an informed decision is key.
So, Doctor, in your experience, I know you're a public health expert, but maybe you might have come across situations where you found that religion and culture interferes with the good job that health professionals are trying to do or advocate for. What are some very interesting methods you have used to try and counter these cultural or religious sentiments that people might have against contraceptives?
I think for me, approach has been a game changer. When you approach family planning or contraceptive discourse with respect and not confrontation, and the type of messaging that you use as well, identifying, the key stakeholders, like religious leaders in the community leaders, women's groups, and integrating them, involving them in the conversation, as well as the men. That has proven, positive results over time. And so, and then it's also important to do regular follow-up as well. That has been useful. But again, I think emphasis is more on messaging and the approach. That's very important. That has been quite helpful, in helping to strengthen that. But again, from a public health perspective, I would also say stressing that this also helps, embracing contraceptives also helps in protecting maternal health. How? And unintended pregnancies is a major concern when there are no contraceptives, right? Unintended pregnancies, which further leads to unsafe abortions. The rates of unsafe abortions, and again, I'm pro-abortion, I'm pro-legalizing abortion, but that's another conversation, because I feel the benefits of legalizing abortion far outweigh the risks. The statistics around unsafe abortions are, really crazy. And again, healthy spacing of pregnancies. WHO recommends it's about 2 years, minimum of 2 years between pregnancies. And so I think
when did that one change from the 80s? It used to, when did that change from 1 year? Because in the 80s, wasn't it mandated 1 year, and which is why you and I have just 1 year in between us and our siblings.
Oh, funny. I mean, between my siblings and I, the minimum is actually 3 years. But I mean, in WHO recently has recommended 2 years minimum for as the standard for healthy, birth spacing. And so, if you take the conversation away from population control, right? If you just change that messaging that contraceptives helps to protect maternal health and even protect mother and child. And then again, since we're having this conversation, I think in the North, right, or in the North where younger women get married, and so you have teenagers that, and this is in no way encouraging teenage marriage or whatever, but the truth is, this is the reality, this is the culture that we have. It is also important to have this conversation about contraception, because in adolescent women, in adolescents and younger women, the risk of obstructed labor, eclampsia, and some of these other risks are higher. Studies have found that these are higher in younger women who are, I don't know why I keep calling them women, but adolescents and teenagers, right? And so it's important to drive the message that it's more about maternal health than it is about population control, and of course try to break some of these myths as well.
So doctor, sometimes or most times people blame infertility to contraceptives. So would you say it's the type of contraceptive they use, or how they took it, or the method through which they took it? So,
or the time
they
took it for.
So what do you think would be the answer to that? Do you think it's because of the contraceptive, that's why a lot of people are infertile? Because, they put the two together.
So this is, I think this is one of the longest standing myths, that contraceptives, family planning leads to infertility. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. Again, it's educating people to understand that this is what it is meant to do. And again, I think messaging, I'm very big on messaging. How about we use message that is simple, that is relatable? So for example, when we have these contraceptive awareness talks, right? How about we say things like, contraceptive does not destroy your fertility, rather it gives you the power to decide when to have children. How about we change the messaging to that? right? So just even with messaging, I think we can start to break those myths, because contraceptives do not cause infertility. And remember, I talked about the different types of contraceptives. So you have the temporary. You have temporary, barrier methods of contraception, male condoms, female condoms, oral contraceptives, the morning after pill, right? Those are temporary. Then you have the long-term, which are also reversible, like the intrauterine contraceptive devices, IUCDs, whether it's hormonal, whether it's copper, implants, injectables. Those are long-term and reversible. And then you have the irreversible, which is like tubal ligation in the woman, where you tie the tubes, the fallopian tubes, and in men, vasectomy. But please note that vasectomy could also be reversible. Vasectomy could be reversible, but of course there are conditions. So if it's the chances for reversing vasectomy are increased or higher when it's been done within less than a space of 10 years, right? So yeah, I think breaking it down, letting people understand there are different methods, and choosing again the right fit. But contraceptives do not lead to infertility. Absolutely not.
So, doctor, I think some people will say, oh, you can take it after every intercourse, but can you tell us, for our young audience who's watching, how do they take, let's start with morning after pill. What do you think for some people who wants to go by and, maybe they're scared or they're shy to ask, how do they administer this contraceptive?
Okay, so I really want to stress something here this morning, and if this is the takeaway that helps save someone's life, then I'll be very happy. The morning after pill is not to be taken as a regular contraceptive, and I want to look into the screen as I say this. I have heard and I have seen women who take morning after pill like back to back to back. It is harmful. It is harmful. It is dangerous to your health, general health. It is dangerous to your reproductive health. I cannot stress this enough. The morning after pill is supposed to be an emergency method of contraception. And so if for whatever reason you've had unprotected sex, or God forbid you were raped, or you had unprotected sex and you wanted to be double sure, maybe the condom broke, for example, you can take the morning after pill within 72 hours after sexual intercourse. But you cannot be having unprotected sex like back to back to back, and then you're taking the morning after pill. Don't do that. Just go see a gynecologist if you want to get on, long-term contraceptive. And, they will take a proper medical history. They will do a hormone profile for you to make sure that certain hormones are not out of place or out of balance, and find the best fit for you. Again, based on your lifestyle, based on, maybe the type of work you do, they would find the best fit for you. So please, morning after pill, no, that's just simply for emergency.
Okay. Let's talk about the men and how we plug in here. My question is, when it comes to male contraceptives, I'm wondering what's prevalent in Nigeria, because I don't know any friends who have tried vasectomy or who want to try vasectomy. So there's a question of availability, access, and then sentiments, which could be either religious or cultural.
Okay. So for the men, I think I'm going to use this word messaging a lot to stress that the issue of contraceptive is not just a woman's burden. It should never be seen as a woman's burden, especially when it involves two partners. I mean, it takes two to tango, right? Like a woman cannot have sex with herself, right? So she needs a partner. And so it is a shared responsibility. And for men, again, barrier method of contraception is the most commonly used form of contraceptive in men, which is condom, right? Latex condoms. And again, vasectomy. But I must stress that whilst vasectomy may be reversible, it should be considered as a permanent method of contraceptive. A man shouldn't, you should have an open discussion with your partner as to what your family goals look like, your family makeup looks like. What's the plan? Do we want to have 2 children? Do we want to have 3 children? And it shouldn't just be a conversation. A lot of men, when you when you suggest to them that, you know, they go get a vasectomy, it sounds emasculating to them, especially in this part of the world. And they're like, no, you woman, why don't you go, tie your tubes? Why? It can be a conversation. It should be an open conversation. There's nothing emasculating about, vasectomy. And in fact, I've even heard some people say that men getting vasectomy leads to impotence. Nothing could be further from the truth. Absolutely nothing could be further from the truth. And so I think it's about, again, messaging,
Dr. Owen,
male peer group
Dr. Owen,
discussions.
let me represent the men here. There's only one of us here now, so let me do that. I think the male fear about vasectomies is not from whether they would be able to have children again should they choose to reverse the process, but it comes from the fear that when it comes to intercourse, that the feeling would be different. I think the male fear is also that it comes from a place of not knowing if this means that it's a total stoppage on sperm production, which most male individuals associate with that pleasure of sex. So if I get a vasectomy, would I still be able to enjoy sex the same way that I did from before? That's the argument. Now you may proceed.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, but
absolutely.
How would you know?
Go ahead. No, again, I mean, studies have been conducted, right? And amongst men who have had vasectomy, and that's how I am able as a woman to know I don't have a penis, obviously, and I've never gotten a vasectomy. But again, these are studies that have been conducted, and so it does not affect your, how your libido or how you experience sex. You still ejaculate semen. You still ejaculate semen. You're just not able to get a woman pregnant. That's it. Like nothing changes. And then I also didn't want to forget this. Couple counseling as well might also be a tool that helps. And then men who have actually, done vasectomy or, bringing them as part of the discussion as well for other men to sort of act as not a role model per se, but as somebody who's been there, who's
an ambassador.
Done that. And, I think hearing from a regular, and what?
An ambassador.
And I'm sort of an ambassador, so to speak, right? So I think involving those people, when you hear from, so if I, as Dr. Owen, a woman, is going to tell a man, oh, you can do it, and say, hey, it's women supporting women. I don't trust you. But if a man who's done it, especially maybe even people who, people who are respected in society, maybe using champions, ambassadors, like you said, public figures or, celebrities as sort of ambassadors to talk about these things, who've done it, I think that could also help in strengthening the conversation amongst men when it comes to contraceptive.
Okay. Well, very interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Omojo. It has been very exciting having this conversation with you. I've learned something. I actually was of the opinion that this absolutely stops semen production, but you've told me this morning that it actually is the opposite.
Thank you for standing for the men then.
So yeah, I also represent a group of 120.
Mazino, you just get a vasectomy. You continue to shoot. Like, don't worry.
Okay.
Doctor, thank you. Go. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, Dr. Omojo.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Mazino. Thank you for having me.
All righty. Now we're going to return to our monitoring of the Rivers State local government election results as we have our correspondent in Rivers State who will be bringing us update from her location. We are going to take a break now, and then when we come back, we'll be speaking with Biola Festus to find out what's going on in Rivers State.
Welcome back. Of course, this is still Breakfast Extra, and now we're going to give you updates on the Rivers State local government election that happened yesterday. And now we have our correspondent, Biola Festus, in Rivers State. Biola, can you tell us where you are and what is going on there at the moment? You mentioned earlier that you're in the coalition hall. Can you tell us where exactly?
I'm at the headquarters of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Now, this hall has been prepared for the declaration of results. Collations were earlier done at the local government levels, and then materials forwarded to RISEC. We're expecting RISEC to start any moment from now. The final collation and, of course, declaration of results and candidates and parties that must have won the local government polls and the councillorship election that took place yesterday.
Now seems to be the signature of everything that's been happening since yesterday, because this is where we'll get the announcement. So we're wondering what it is like outside the hall. Are people gathering? What's the mood like? What are they anticipating currently?
While walking in here, we didn't sight any crowd, but we saw security presence has been heightened at the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission's headquarters here. There's full presence of security. We saw the military, we saw the NSCDC, we saw the police. They're all outside of the premises. The DSS are also here on the ground to ensure the process goes on smoothly. We also saw some observers trickling in and trying to get clarification to get into the hall, of course, to observe the declaration process. So we are still waiting for them. The hall is set, the stage is set, pressmen are here. It's left for RISEC officials to walk into this hall and tell us what the outcome of yesterday's election was.
So, Biola, generally, it's been told that the entire process was rather peaceful in Rivers State from all through yesterday up until today. So we're wondering what the conversations have been like since after the last ballot was cast to this morning, where we're expecting the results to be read out. What are the people saying? What conversations have you caught people talking about? And what is first on their minds as regards this election?
The people have been indifferent from what they have been saying before and, of course, during the elections. Of course, when we had some persons live, they told us that they were not participating, and others told us they were participating. That is where the people's opinion have stopped after the election. What they are waiting for is the result. Perhaps when the results are out, then the people may begin to air their opinion and make their stand on. But for now, the state is calm. Nobody is agitating. Nobody is saying anything. Everybody is waiting for the declaration of results. Then everybody will know where they stand, including party faithful and, of course, those who voted for them.
So, Biola, while we're waiting for the result, did the officials mention the exact time at which they will come? Because you said that the hall is being set and the stage is set. Are they still counting, or they're just trying to organize themselves so they can come and announce? Have they mentioned the exact hour that they will start this announcement?
I haven't been able to speak to the officials, but we were meant to understand earlier that the collation and declaration was going to happen yesterday, and we were here until midnight yesterday, but that didn't happen. Usually after elections, collations and declaration of results begin same day, sometimes into the next day and through the night. But this election came with a different tone. The declaration of results didn't begin yesterday. In fact, this stage was set since yesterday, and the declaration is yet to happen. So we're still waiting for RISEC officials. They are the ones to put us on and to let us know what we need to know.
Last question, but I'm wondering whether the voter apathy that was recorded from yesterday, because we had other correspondents tell about how very little people came out to vote, is this an extension of that apathy where we're not seeing the boisterousness that normally follow other elections when it comes to the results announcement? We're not seeing that here. Do you think this is an extension of that apathy that we witnessed from the polls yesterday?
I can't say for sure. The electorate know what they know. They have the information they have. So it is theirs to choose whatever reaction they would have towards the election and the outcome. Well, the outcome of the election has not been made public yet. The level they know was at their at the local government levels, where each party, the votes cast for each party were announced, but that does not mean that the winner has been announced. Today will tell, or maybe whenever RISEC deem fit, whenever they're ready, that's when they will tell us what candidates emerged the chairmanship and councillorship position. But now the ball still lies in the court of RISEC to let us know. Perhaps after the announcement of results, then people can know what stand they want to take and what next action would follow.
We were also hoping that you could have, we could see one or two of the stakeholders there, maybe have a conversation with them. If that is possible, that will be great, actually. But apart from that, what are their responses? And I mean, the different party members that you might have seen since after, are they satisfied with RCX's performance at the elections?
While covering the election yesterday, I could only get one party, which was the APP, complain about alleged manipulation of election by RISEC, which we of course had live and we put him out there. Apart from that candidate from Kobo local government area, I haven't seen, or no other party has come out. So my own knowledge to say the election was either mad, free, or fair. We have yet to see any of such yet.
Okay.
Thank you so much for giving us the updates. During the course of the day, we will get back to you to find out more. Thank you so much, Bila.
We'll do well to bring you up to speed.
And good job.
Right.
Well done.
Good job. Well done since yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That livened you up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. She's been out there since yesterday, alongside Igbalani, and also Austin Azu.
Yeah.
So I want to say a very good well done to our correspondents who are out there. But it can't be easy going from ward to ward, from unit to unit, actually bringing us all the information.
Till midnight.
Yeah, and all the way till midnight from yesterday, monitoring all of this. So thank you to them. And of course, everybody who's putting together the monitoring team, I want to say thank you to them as well. But that's where we definitely, until a message comes and says we're extending to 1 o'clock, that's where we definitely are going to be drawing the curtain today on today's edition of Breakfast Extra, which has been an hour extended. But thank you very much for being... before you play that tune, let me say a big thank you to Matthew Olunola, of whom, has chosen a different path from today. But I want to say thank you very much, Matthew, for being one of the greatest producers that I've ever worked with. You have been stellar. You've been fantastic. I am very sad that you would be leaving Breakfast Extra. But I say, hey, on to much more, and go prepare a place for us. That's what I'd say. My sadness is only that I do not have anybody to bully anymore when I come to work. But of course, you know that's tongue-in-cheek. We just play around. Thank you very much, Matthew. It's been a pleasure working with you. And thank you to the viewers for staying with us since yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you.